Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to a very, very special, very special, very special Freaky Friday. Yes, indeed. How you doing, Scotty Lopez? I am having a very good day today.
Oh, you look as giddy as a schoolgirl over there, Mr. Baker. And may I be the first to say, congrats on Scotland for putting up an awesome fight against the English. And what it turned out to be a
Hey,
draw.
listen, when I
And
woke up this morning, I had to put up with hours and hours and pundit upon pundit of telling me it was going to be 4-0, 5-0. There's only one team in it. England have already won the tournament. And as the day went on, I thought, just for their arrogance and their big-headedness, I would love it. I would love it if we could go down there into their own back garden and do something. And yes, it may well have been a stinking 0-0 draw, but it is the best, the most fabulous, the most freaky 0-0 draw I have ever seen. And I was sharing with you, Scotty, some of the antics of my fellow Scotsmen. Ooh, boy, oh boy, freaky stuff going on, eh?
I was telling my mom earlier, because I was like, there's that big game going on, and I was like, if they pull it off, if they win, or if it's a draw or whatever, I was like, I bet Glasgow is going to be partying pretty hard, and it doesn't look like it's just limited to Glasgow. It looks like the Scottish have overran the border.
Yeah, back in the day, we made it as far as York, but I tell you, the past 24 hours, we've almost taken London. I'm ready to march on Carlisle tomorrow if any fellow Scotsmen want to join me. I think we should carry this on, use this as an impetus to push forward, Nah, but listen, it was awesome, dude. I shared with you before the show. Usually Scotland, it's a hard luck story. Usually we play well for 89 minutes and throw it away, or it'll be an own goal or a silly penalty. But no, this time it was like the closer it got to the end, though, I thought me, Anne, and Kevin were actually going to be behind the sofa by the time the game ended. But no, it was good. It was all good.
And this is just another classic example of hubris, right? Of getting too big-headed and acting a little too cocky and underestimating your opponent. They thought that they were just going to walk in there and run Rackshaw over you guys, and obviously that wasn't the case. You guys held them out, held your own, and
swear to God, I seen William Wallace in the crowd at one point. It was either him or Mel Gibson. There's a fine line between the two, And I would love to give a shout out. I know the chances of this guy listening right now are about 7.5 billion to what, 30. Listen, there was a dude on a train that decided to do the human worm, and the worm's a cool dance to do, but he done it in true Scottish fashion. And for any ladies out there who may be in any doubt as to whether it's a truth that true Scotsmen go bare underneath the kilt, well, I tell you, I can't show it on YouTube because it would definitely come under public nudity. But boy, oh boy.
Yeah. Let's just say that video leaves no doubt in mind of what's going on.
No shame, that boy. Kilt. No shame whatsoever. Get it all out, man. Who cares?
Hey, he was having a good time, and everybody was having a good time around him. So, hey. It is what it is, man.
Nacy, man, your other Kevin here today is like, I'm just going to sit here for 3 hours happy, Nacy. I wish you could have been here with me, brother. I tell you, being Scottish is one thing, but man, oh man, do we know how to boogie. We know how to party, dude. I can only imagine what Glasgow City Centre is like right now. Despite all of the current stuff going on in the world, I would imagine there's a few people out partying tonight, Nacy. And the Nacy is a no-show. There's no word from Nacy. He's actually shocked. He's that shocked, Scott. He might actually just forgot to unmute. I don't know. He's like, can't be. He's actually checking it out. He's looking for the prophecy. As I wrote in the description of the today's show, There must be a prophecy somewhere that reads something along the lines of when the Scots go to London and come back with one solitary point in the middle of a European Championship, that's got to be a harbinger of some kind of apocalypse, right? It's got to be.
So the last time this match occurred, right? Was it like 1990? Is that what you were saying?
Well, it was in
Something
the
like
90s,
that?
yeah. It was the day after my mother got married. I'll never forget that. She got married on the Friday. And the only reason she didn't get married the next day, which would have been her birthday, and you got to take my hat off to my stepdad for this, he was adamant. He was adamant he was not getting married on the day that Scotland were going down to play England the last time. So my mum got married the day before her birthday. And I remember going up to Fort Augustus with one of my mates from the army, and he was like as English as you get, Yorkshireman. And they won that time, and hats off to them. But my poor friend, Richard, we'll call him. I can't really give him his nickname on here. It's not family friendly. But yeah, Richard had to leave the pub rather swiftly when Paul Gascoigne scored because he forgot he was in Scotland. He was a bit drunk and he started going mad. And being the only man going mad in a pub full of about, I don't know, 500 people at the time. I mean, I couldn't look after him. Yeah, we were soldiers, but nah. So he had to out the door, dude. But yeah, it's been a while, man.
He was definitely in behind enemy lines, right, in hostile territory.
Better believe it, dude. Better believe it. But at the same time, I had to live in England during that last time that they had it down there. 96, I think it was, off the top of my head. I must admit I loved it. I laugh and a joke about the old enemy, the English and that, but being like ex-army, there's a part of me that likes the whole kind of union thing, the British thing as well. But today, when I woke up, I was absolutely Scottish, 110% today. There'll be none of that, none of it. And I let Dave occupy the building, and it's been awesome. But Nacy, are you with us yet, dude? Because I can only like wax lyrical about Scotland for so long before the audience disappear on me here. No.
I think the mute button got stuck.
I think it has. So listen, what we're going to do is we're going to head on over to the TFR chat room. Thank you very much, and a cup of coffee as well without asking for it. Scotland get a draw in England. What else can happen today to make this the freakiest show ever, Scott? Now I'm waiting for a shoe. But no, let's get into the mood. Scotty's got some good woo for us today. I've got some good woo for us. Nacy is always filled to the brim with woo. And if you can handle the woo and you want a little shout out, head on over to tfrlive.com/chat, where we will give you a shout out in just a moment. And Scott, I was a bit weirded out today. I shared with you before the show, and I don't know if this is some kind of weird Mandela thing or something going on, right? I was a bit shocked to find out that just in this past week, it's been confirmed what causes the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. And like I showed you, it's like big news across a whole heap of websites. We found it. We've discovered what's happening with the Northern Lights. Now, listen, I don't know. Maybe it's a misconception of mine. It must be. I thought that was like settled science a long time ago, dude. I didn't think there was any ambiguity about the Northern Lights.
Yeah, when you brought that to my attention before the show, I thought the same thing. I thought we already knew this. I thought this was already an established sort of known, right? I mean, isn't the reason because charged particles from the sun are hitting the magnetic field and exciting the particles and creating the aurora? I mean, this is like stuff that I remember learning in school and everything like that.
I think when I read into it, it's like really weird because the only thing that I could find that's different this time is it's the first time they've ever measured what happens scientifically, or the first time they've looked at it in a specific way and actually confirmed all of what you just said there. Like I say, I was
This
weirded out. Hey,
is
Nacy, there he is.
the AI Naysay calling for your enjoyment on Freaky Friday.
We'll take the AI Nacy. Better than no Nacy. How you doing, brother?
I'm eating again. Yummy, yummy, yummy.
Oh, dude. Hey, listen, for all you people out there, I'm gonna food shame him. He does this on Disco. He like does this thing where he like really, really smacks and chomps and chews and listen, I'm sure there must be people in the audience out there like me. It's like nails down a chalkboard to me, man. I don't know what it is if you can hear somebody eating. It's like
My brother, when he hears people like chewing and kind of like smacking their food, it's one of
all that
those
stuff.
things. It's one of those things that literally makes him incandescent with rage, and he literally feels like punching somebody. Like he has to physically get up and leave the room because he wants to just.
Last night when Kev joined the conversation on Discord, and I had to mute because I even get self-conscious about drinking water when Kev's on there too. So. Yeah. But if I could take a quick moment and wish that incredible woman Pearly, she had a birth recognition date.
She did, dude.
This last week.
Thank you, dude. She's listening right now, so thank you. I'll thank you on her behalf.
Happy birthday, Pearly.
Yep, 15th of June. And she'll be raging when I tell you she's 93 years old, but she doesn't look a day over 64. Oh, savage. Savage.
Oh.
It's a good day. I'm going to push it. You know?
Yeah, it does say don't push your luck, man. Don't push your luck.
We're going to buy a lottery ticket tomorrow. We're going to march on York.
Yes, and I did enjoy about the real football of Europe game yesterday, where they actually use their feet.
Yep.
Unless you're the goalie, of course. But yeah, kudos to Scotland.
I like it. We'll perfect that accent, Nacy. We'll get it. We'll get it just perfect, man. I promise. We'll have you sounding like a native Glaswegian by the end of 2021. How does that sound?
A native Glaswegian?
Aye, a native Glaswegian. Aye. I'm not a native. Listen, Anne, I am a proud Highlander. I come from where real Scottish men are born and bred. You know what I'm saying? None of this big city comforts up where I come from. Nah.
Well, I apologize to the audience and everything that my Skype went haywire. I had to reboot everything. So here we are. So I missed what you guys were talking about, electromagnetism.
Dude, you didn't miss much. You just missed me acting like a bit of a bum because, like, I tell you, it's off the charts. It's a Freaky Friday, Nacy. It's a really Freaky Friday, man.
Where all the real freaks show up.
Well, but, being a freak in the year 2021 is almost like a term of endearment. It means you've made it.
Right? Yeah. Have we had an opportunity to go to the Wookiee cave and say hello to the Wookiees and the Wookiees?
We will. It's going to be a very quick shout out to the Wookiee cave today. I don't know whether I scared half of them off with my patriotism, my Braveheart kind of mood coming out here today, but there's like me, Sophia, Lucky, Seagraves, hardcore, long-time listener, definitely loves his woo. Daryl is in there, Daryl Bowles. We've got a wise newbie. Hope you're a whole lot wiser by the end of this broadcast. And we've got the helpful character. So I want to give a big shout out wherever you're listening. Hopefully you're over at tfrlive.com. You might be listening on TalkStream Live. And of course today, back by popular demand for the second week running, we're on YouTube. So a big shout out wherever you are, whenever you are, whatever platform you're on. And I am now going to head on over. Well, I've been on over to the Wookiee cave. I've just done that, right? Yeah. See, I almost got really freaky there, dude. Really freaky. So
deja vu.
Yeah. So, Nacy, you probably caught the tail end of it, and we'll ask you quickly. Do you think that, like, are you under any illusion that we were still kind of grasping at what was going on with the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis? Because me and Scott were kind of a bit taken aback to find out that this week scientists have announced that they've finally been able to explain the Northern Lights. And we know you like your moon, you like your sun, you like talking about these things. Did you think it was like unsettled science, Nacy?
No, well, as we've talked many times in the past about advanced technology, the powers that should not be have advanced technology. So I'm absolutely sure that they figured out. My speculation of it is that in the poles, there is somewhat of an opening. And as all of the particulates of space get pulled into this hole, it burns up. And because different materials will burn at different colors, that's the beautiful lights that we get. I remember as a child on the hill next to Detroit Lakes, we would lay out there and watch the Northern Lights. And from what I've been told is a lot of people think the Northern Lights have shifted, which would give me more speculation that, so as our magnetic pole.
Yeah, I mean, the two are directly connected. I mean, it's a magnetic disturbance, right? I mean, you have charged particles from the sun hitting the magnetic field, and like Nacy said, they're being pulled into a concentrated area, and that's why you see that ring of the Northern Lights that kind of go around, the north. And you also have the Southern Lights as well. We don't just have Northern Lights; we have Southern Lights. It's mirrored or duplicated on the South Pole as well.
It's a bit harder to see unless you're a penguin, right?
Yes, unless you're a penguin or you're dwelling in a secret base or something down there.
Buzz Aldrin, he might have seen them on his way in and out of there. Remember that? Was that 2013, guys? No, it was 2012, wasn't it? Because it was like an election year, because John Kerry, he broke off, didn't he? He went down there in the middle of the election cycle kind of thing. And
there was like a bunch of like random people from different, like he had the head of the Orthodox Church in Russia going down there and
enjoyed himself. He told me, he said it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, it's strange. So I mean, I don't know if they're just confirming what everybody has already thought caused the Northern Lights. Like maybe they validated it or something or what, but it's just weird to me. It just seemed like this was a common knowledge, settled science sort of thing, and so I don't know why that they would be making some kind of big announcement that
what's going to be next? Fish live in water. We've just discovered that fish really do live in water, ladies and gentlemen. But it says here, nothing can ruin our joy in the Aurora Borealis. And I must admit, big shout out to Sid over in Norway here. It was a big reason why I wanted to go to Norway in the first place. I thought to myself, that'll be pretty cool, seeing all that. But even by the end of 3 months, and that's a long detachment in the middle of nowhere in Norway, trust me. But none of the appeal, none of the wow factor of the Northern Lights in the middle of a Norwegian winter, none of it went away, dude. Every time I seen that, it was like jaw-dropping. Just those colors,
Yeah. And speaking of Norway and Scandinavia, stay tuned, everybody, because I got some really good woo coming from that area of the globe. So
Yep. So
yeah,
I'm just going to go over this quickly to see what to give you the kind of language they're using, right? It says, nothing can ruin our joy in the Northern Lights. Those ribbons of blue, green, and violet light that cascade from the sky, not even knowing for sure what causes them. Physicists have long speculated about what gives rise to this very specific light phenomenon that occurs in the Earth's polar regions, but now they're certain. An article published in the journal Nature Communications, I get that all the time, I missed this week's one though, It was this week's edition actually suggests that the natural light show starts when disturbances on the sun pull on the Earth's magnetic field, and that creates cosmic undulations known as Alf-Venn waves that cause electrons at high speeds, or that launch electrons at high speeds into Earth's atmosphere, where they create the aurora. It says it was the sort of theorized that it was sort of theorized that that's where the energy exchange was occurring, and it comes from somebody at the University of Iowa, Gregory Howes or Hawes. So there you go. Like I say, it weirded me out when I seen it, because I just assumed, shouldn't assume anything, I suppose, but I thought it was like a settled deal.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I mean, that's just kind of what I was taught about how the Northern Lights were formed, and it made sense. And because, I mean, look, you had like the Carrington event, right? And the Northern Lights were pretty much viewed all the way, was it down close to the equator? I mean, that's how significant that solar flare was. And
that was a solar tsunami, right?
Yeah, it was a solar storm. Yeah. and so, I mean, you have charged particles or electrons, smashing into the Earth's magnetic field. It's going to create quite a light show, So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's confirmed now.
I am happy to know this, because I thought my fasting is what caused cosmic undulations.
Oh, now you were telling me last night, Nacy, tell the audience, how did it go, man?
Well, I did my summer solstice fast. I believe that the summer solstice happened near or shortly after last week's new moon. And so that's when I used as my starting point for my fast. I did 7 days. My goal is to do 10, but I didn't want to go 10 because I got my daughter's graduation celebration happening tomorrow. So I said, I'm just going to do 7 and give me a day to pig out. But the one interesting thing that I noticed, my daughters, they were having some baked beans. And I said, hey, can I have a little tiny bowl of that? And I had some. And within like 20, 30 minutes after eating it, I started sniffling. And I remembered that the baked beans that they like has sugar added to it.
Mm.
And so I woke up this morning and I could already feel swelling in some of my extremities. And I've been kind of sniffling a little bit all day. So I'm hoping I'm not catching a cold.
But usually half an hour after I've eaten something like that, it's probably stuff like that you're going to hear from me. They have a really bad effect on my innards. I'm just saying.
Beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you know.
Yeah, I know how that one goes. And
Anishinaabe word of the week, booget.
Booget.
That means to release the natural gas from the lower orifices.
Oh, nice. I was quite impressed last night, boys. I managed to pronounce successfully two names of original mobs from Australia, and I actually got like hats off from the Australian guys for getting these two right. And I got one wrong. The one I tried the hardest with, because it was like Luna's mob. Because I wanted to get that one really correct, it came out all wrong. So I'm quite impressed with my pronunciation skills this week. I can't read the word the or and things like that, but give me long, weird looking names and Dave spits them out no problem, Scotty. So I tell you.
If I could remind the audience that if you go to TFRlive.com, you will have 1 week to listen to Kev's shows for free. And go and check out yesterday's show, and you'll definitely enjoy it because he went down under, and it raised a lot of people up.
It really was.
Sounds like it was a fantastic show, and I gotta go and listen. Wow. We're on a break already?
It's going to be one of these
Babbling
ones,
on in
guys.
Babylon.
It's going to be one of these ones. We'll be back real shortly. And Scott will launch us into some deep UFO, strange lights in the sky type woo. This is your Freaky Friday. Don't go anywhere. Yes, gentlemen, we're back. We're still on with the absolutely amazing, brilliant people out there in YouTube land. I see Marty, Mojo Pams, great name, Ricky the Tavi, another great name, Luna, the aforementioned Luna. We've got Rose, we've got Donnie, so that's Uncle Donnie and Auntie Luna. That could have gone all wrong and called it Auntie Donnie and Uncle Luna. Hey, it's a woke world we live in nowadays, right? Hey, come on, man. I'm inclusive. We have got the Twirl Wizards. Northern Lights, one of my favorite strains. Indeed, Mr. Wizard, indeed.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And then no PPP for me today. I am high on Mick Woo. I'm telling you, man, life is just filling me full to the brim of beans and joy and happiness.
He's feeling the high lands.
I like it. And a fellow Scot in the chat room, Kazzy, good to see you. I hope you're having a splendid night tonight. I'm sure you are. We've got Delight, BLB So Much Jake. Wow, cool name. NIMH. Trent. We've got a Davy Jones Locker in there. I love that name, man. Awesome. Well, a lot of people. We've got the Quantum Love. I like that. Does that mean you're both in love and not in love at the same time?
Or
is it spooky action at a distance? Can somebody dial up your love from a distance and you instantaneously react to that love? It's kind of cool. It's quantum that way, right?
Yeah.
Yes, indeedy. People getting timed out in the chat room, loving it. It must be all kicking off in there tonight. Yes, indeed. So when we come back, Scotty is going to take us into some Hasdalen Lights of Norway. I've seen a documentary about this, so this is going to be interesting to see what we hear about this. And anywhere where it's notorious for lights in the sky or UFOs, it's a no-brainer. Of course, I find it very interesting. So yeah, we'll come back on that one, guys. And I think you had another thing about, was it the sun and the moon on biology, Scott?
Yeah, we can get into that later after we take our little trip to Scandinavia. I just see these articles that catch my eye and I pull them up. I haven't read any of them. So these lights in Norway, it sounds like this is kind of a well-known thing, but I haven't really heard much about this. I haven't looked too much into it. So this will kind of be a new experience for me to see what's going on with these Hasdalen lights.
Excuse me, Scotty. Mr. Baker, you just triggered me because you said the word moon.
I did.
Yes.
I did.
And it makes me a little loony.
Well, I know you love your moon talk, dude. I know you love your moon talk, but I'm going to have to get in touch with some druids over here. I have to get a druid onto the show because they might be the only person I can think of that can have a conversation about when the equinox should be. And it's not that I'm doubting what Naysay says, it's just something I'm not really all that clued up on. So I'm going to try and source us a druid from somewhere.
Druid.
I'm actually trying to work.
Hold on, Naysay.
I'm actually trying to work.
The face of tyranny. I want it all on my freedom and liberty.
Now that's a copyright song, so I need to get that off really quickly. Here we go.
I'm working on trying to get an elder for us.
Here we go. Cool.
My guns you can keep your security.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
I want it all on my
No,
freedom and
no,
liberty.
not yet.
My guns you can keep your security.
No, not yet. Now it'll be right. One of these weeks, Scott. One of these weeks. Aye, 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 aye. Oh, Florida, Scotland. Ah, well, see, I thought I might as well sing when we come back because it was music every time I called up before that, you know. So welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and all you fine Scottish people out there. I'm sure you'll be staying up late tonight, maybe having a few cold ones. You lucky Scotsmen, you. No drink, no alcohol today, just drunk on the woo. Yes, indeed. And talking of woo, we got Naysay here. We've got the big man, Scotty Lopez, and he is about to take us to the land of Norway. Lovely.
Ooh, yes, Norway. It's a lovely country.
It really is. No, it truly is. I'm not even joking. It's like stunningly beautiful. Glaciers, big mountains, lovely, lovely people.
And a very interesting. And a very, very interesting metal scene, I must say, as well.
And very, very Nordic-looking people. Wink, wink.
Yes.
Yes.
we know that Kev loves his Nordics, so.
Hey, listen, I can assure you, the Nordics love a bit of Kev as well. Hey.
Hey.
Why did I press that? There you go.
All right, dude. So we are going to talk about the strange mystery of the Hesdalen Lights of Norway. And it says, located out in a small valley in the central part of Norway. Actually, let me pull this over to this side where I can see a little bit better. There we go.
It's always handy, Scott. It's always handy, man.
Yeah. So located out in a small valley in the central part of Norway, in the municipality of Holtalen in Trøndelag County. And I'm going to apologize beforehand. Scandinavian words are not my strong suit, so just bear with me if things get a little crazy with the words here.
I think you've done all right so far, dude.
Yeah. It says, is the scenic valley of Hesdalen surrounded by scenic mountains. It is an isolated, sparsely populated area. The largest settlement being the tiny village of the same name, which has a population of just 150 people. Not much typically goes on here, and the people live a quiet, peaceful life among the picturesque scenery away from the bustle of city life. But beginning in 1981, their serene lives would be interrupted by a spate of sightings of mysterious lights in the sky that have remained unexplained. It says, although the strange lights had been sporadically seen in the valley since the 1940s, the activity of the phenomenon, now known as the Hesdalen Lights, really picked up and became known in 1981, when villagers in the valley were startled by a myriad of mysterious orbs of light in the sky that would regularly appear at various places throughout the valley, both night and day. These lights could be anywhere from the size of a basketball to the size of a car, sometimes even much larger, and had a wide variety of characteristics and behaviors. They would usually be bright, white, yellow, or red, and depending on the report, usually appearing below the horizon, but sometimes above the mountains. They would alternately zip away at high speeds to vanish, slowly float about, hover in midair, speed up or slow down, away from side to side, or do aerial acrobatics. They would sometimes merely appear and disappear in a flash, while others were observed floating and zipping about for up to 2 hours. Wow, that's a that's a long time for a for a UFO kind of thing to be going on. A 2 hour, event. Usually, you just see these things for a short period of time. Uh-oh. Am I still here?
You're still here,
Okay.
yeah, but there's like mad people. There's mad people out the back of my house shouting and partying. Oh, it's going
Oh.
crazy, dude.
Oh,
Keep going. If,
well.
if it goes any crazier, I'll just have to go out and ouch. Keep the noise down, boys.
Hey, your noise gate's doing good, so because I'm not hearing anything. So.
Just as well, because it's rather colorful language it's coming to.
Nice. So sometimes these events would happen for up to 2 hours, with larger orbs frequently seen to spew out smaller orbs. On occasion, the orbs were said to hover over water or approach or shy away from observers when approached, demonstrating what seemed to be intelligent control. And in some daytime settings, the objects were described as looking metallic. Whatever they were cited very frequently, in their peak being seen 15 to 20 times a week, frightening locals in the process. One article in the online science journal Frontiers in Earth Science has described the lights in detail. It says, in spite of their irregular occurrence, 15 to 20 times per week from 1981 to 1984, and 10 to 20 times per year nowadays. I mean, that's a frequent amount. 15 to 20 times a week, at least during the 80s. That's wild. It says the Hesdallen lights have been consistently observed and possess a series of reoccurring features. One, they have the appearance of a free-floating light ball with dimensions ranging from decimeters up to 30 meters? That can't be meters, right? Yeah, maybe. Two, they are characterized by geometric structures and are often accompanied by small, short-duration pulsating spikes. In the high-frequency and very low-frequency radio ranges, so they're even picking up radio frequencies coming off these things? Interesting.
I told you it was weird, dude.
They show an absolute luminosity that has been estimated to be 19 kilowatts. And 4, they have a time duration ranging from seconds to hours. HL are also characterized by the formation of light ball clusters and the ejection of many light balls. They may also show very high velocities. Furthermore, HL are thunderstorm-independent events as opposed to other rare and poorly understood transient luminous phenomenon occurring in the atmosphere. Example, ball lightning, blue jets, red sprites, and terrestrial gamma ray flashes, which, I talk about the blue jets and stuff a lot. Yep. So this is not anything related to that. So it says the Hesdallen lights quickly became big news, drawing in droves of all matter of curiosity seekers and UFO researchers, as well as mainstream scientists eager to get to the bottom of the mystery. In the summer of 1983, the year Mr. Lopez was born.
A good year, man, good year. Yeah.
Very good year. An ongoing scientific field investigation was launched to study the lights, and by the conclusion of their one-year investigation, there were 53 light observations made. More scientific investigations have been carried out as well, including one in 1985 and another from 1997 into 1998, which managed to capture footage of the lights in a bizarre pyramid shape that bounced up and down. In 1998, an automated station was installed in the valley called the Hesdallen Automatic Measurement Station, or the Hesdallen AMS, to monitor the lights year-round, collecting reams of photos of the lights, as well as various readings on scientific equipment, and there have been various peer-reviewed papers on the lights published in scientific journals. Indeed, the Hesdallen lights constitute one of the most well-researched mysterious phenomena there is. However, despite all of this study, no one can quite figure out exactly what they are. Wow. I mean, those are some amazing photographs. I can't believe I've never really looked into this that much. I mean, maybe I heard about it, but
I know,
yeah,
I know Ancient Aliens, one of their episodes has got a bit on it. But there's actually a documentary on Discovery or History. One of the two of them are really kind of similar, the stuff they do. But it features this place quite heavily. That's the only reason I kind of know more about it. Wasn't that long ago I'd watched that again, you know?
interesting. So it says the number of theories as to what the lights might be is vast. One idea is that some sort of combustion is occurring involving hydrogen, oxygen, and sodium, helped along by large deposits of scandium in the area. Another is that they are caused by piezoelectricity. Maybe. We talk about a lot of the piezoelectric phenomena that could possibly be occurring, which is an electrical charge that accumulates in certain materials, including certain kinds of rock, such as quartz, crystals, certain ceramics, and even some biological materials like bone. Considering that the valley has large deposits of crystal rocks, well, I mean, I bet that in itself makes that valley a hotbed of woo, because we know that when there's high levels of quartz in an area, that opens up the possibility of paranormal and all kinds of different phenomena. Says it is speculated that these may build up a charge that is released to form these balls of light. Other theories include plasma balls, ball lightning, meteorites, mirages, igniting gases. What? Swamp gas? As Mr. Ken Webb would say, it's just some swamp gas.
You gotta throw in some swamp gas somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it's below the permafrost and things like that. Yeah, you know, swamps near the Arctic Circle, yeah, you know.
Yeah. And even the idea that the valley itself acts as a sort of battery that generates a current, I mean, that's a possibility. Like I said, if there's high levels of quartz crystal located all in that valley, I mean, that would just make it a hotbed of woo anyways, I would think. As well as many other numerous hypotheses and speculations. However, no single explanation can really account for all the different characteristics reported with the lights. Of course, the lights have been claimed to be ghosts and alien UFOs as well, and UFO researchers have long held keen interest in this place. Yet as much as this lonely valley has been studied, the secrets of its strange lights have remained evasive, and we still have no idea what they are, keeping them in the rail of mystery and speculation. Where I love it. Speculation Island is where these Hesdallen lights like to reside.
Speculation Valley. I like it, dude. Can we steal it for a part of the island? Nacy, what do you say to this, Nacy? What are you thinking is going on, man?
Well, if I remember correctly, it was Carlos Diaz, and he was a individual that would somehow know in advance that a UFO was coming, and it was what they called plasma ships. And when they were seen at a distance, they looked like an orb. And I don't know if I've shared one of my UFO occurrences up in Canada, but it was an orb that I saw. It was an orange orb, and it was so bright, it like illuminated the tops of the trees, and it almost looked like it was a full moon of how much it illuminated.
Oh, wow. Nacy, I had an exact UFO experience back when I was like 12 or 13 when I lived in Wichita, and it was the exact same thing. Giant orange. I thought it was the moon at first, coming up over the horizon, but it wasn't the moon. And I remembered I had even drawn it when we got home, because we went to my uncle's house. My mom needed to go and pick something up, and I was just sitting in the car, waiting for her to go run in and get something and then come back. And I saw it while I was sitting in the car, and it blew my mind because I couldn't explain what it was. And yeah,
it was June 22nd, 1995. It was my birth recognition date. And the coolest thing about it is when we saw it, I was with a friend of mine, and we were coming back from Thunder Bay, heading back to the Canadian border. And there was a detour because there was road construction on the primary highway. And we see this orb, and I'm looking forward up above the steering wheel, and then I would slow down, and I kind of was pulling off to the side, because I wanted to give people time to pass if they came up from behind. And I'm looking out the window on it. And then for whatever reason, I just reach down and start grabbing the headlight. And I start turning off and on the headlights. And the friend that was with me started freaking out. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I want to let them know we're here." And she's like, no. And then her fear, I got her fear. And the minute both of us got fearful, the thing zipped away at lightning speed.
It's interesting that you say it happened around 95, right? Because that's probably around the same time when I had my experience, was like 94, 95, because that's around the time I was around.
Well, when it accelerated up higher, it went so fast that I almost thought it looked kind of like a pennant flag. You know how they're wide and then they go long and pointy, and it's up in the sky, and it just sat there. And then all of a sudden, from across the sky, zipped another one, and then the two of them, like in formation, turned like 90 degrees, and then took off to the it was to the southwest.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah, it was phenomenal.
The one I saw, like I said, it was just above the horizon. It was kind of hard to see because I was like looking through some trees, because you could kind of see it as it was coming, through the branches and stuff like that. But I mean, it was pretty visible, and it was moving from like right to left. And I always wondered, McConnell Air Force Base is right there in Wichita, and I wonder if they were tracking that thing or if they saw anything on radar, because it was in that general direction of McConnell Air Force Base. But it wasn't like a plane. It wasn't anything coming from McConnell. And I've grown up around Air Force bases, and my grandfather was in the Air Force, and I mean I've seen air traffic, and that was not an airplane or a helicopter or anything like that. It was just bizarre. But no, when you described that, Daisy, I was like, that just immediately threw me back to when I saw that, because it was like the exact sort of thing. So, and
my speculation of it is the really big, large orbs. I think those are like a mothership, and the smaller orbs are like probes.
Yeah, it sounds like, when they talk about these smaller orbs and stuff being dispersed from the large one, it sounds like it's sending out probes or drones or something to maybe inspect the area or something like that. I don't know, man. These lights in Hasdalen, very interesting, and the photos that it's showing, pretty compelling.
Yeah, there's videos on YouTube about this as well. It's a real head scratcher. It truly is. Now, one thing I was put on to by our good friend Sid, who's in the chat room. So we've actually got somebody from Norway here. We've asked him
Yeah.
for his take on it. But maybe people won't realise, and I'm not saying this is the cause of it, but I think we have to throw it in there as something that maybe people don't know a lot about, because I didn't know about it. But Andoya Space Station. This is where they launch a lot of rockets from, and formerly named the Andoya Space Center and Andoya Rocket Range, is a rocket launch site, rocket range, and spaceport on Andoya Island, the northernmost in the Vesterland archipelago, and Andoy municipality in Nordland County, Norway. Since 1962. So this phenomenon started in the 40s, it was saying there, wasn't it? So that's totally, like I said, I'm not saying for any minute that this is to do with it, but it's a data point. It's interesting to know that they've got stuff up there, you know?
And, this would, remember we had the Norway spiral. Remember that went
Who
viral?
could forget that thing, dude?
Yeah, and by all accounts, what it appeared to be was like a Russian rocket, right? A test. And usually when they test a rocket, it's purposely put in a spiral to blow off the excess rocket fuel, so it doesn't go flying into some other country, right, and cause an international incident. And so these rockets will go into this crazy spiral pattern, and when they're in the upper atmosphere where the air is really thin, the exhaust from rockets balloon out, and that's why when you see a SpaceX launch or something off the West Coast and people freak out because they think they're seeing some kind of an alien invasion or
Dude,
UFO or
the
whatever.
first time I seen that on video, it looked like a wormhole opening. It's like weird. If you don't know what's going on, that's a weird one, right?
Yeah, because as the air gets thinner in the atmosphere, it's not exerting any pressure. That exhaust plume is going to blow out like a balloon, and it looks really weird and it looks really crazy. And if you didn't know what it was, yeah, it would look like an alien invasion or some kind of a portal opening up. So, I think it's the same thing with the Norway spiral. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's a portal opening up" and all that. It's like, no, I think it was probably just a Russian rocket spiraling around, blowing off excess gas, or blowing off excess fuel. But nah.
There's one I'm looking at there, and it's a very similar. It's not the same as the Norway spiral, but you can see how it produces a certain ripple to it that definitely backs up what Scotty Boy's saying here,
Yeah.
Well,
there
was allegedly within a month and a half period, these spirals seen around the world that didn't get much media attention, as the Norway spiral did. I remember there was one in Australia, one in China, and Russia.
I think a lot of that was just different countries kind of what do you call it? Showing each other that they got capabilities. Russia does it, then Australia will do it, we'll do it. It's a sort of
Don't shatter my paradigm.
No, me and Scott have become too logical for you, Nacy. You're gonna have to knock the logic out of us, Nacy.
I think we were just talking about a international waving competition, at the time. Russia's like, we'll test one, and then Australia's like, okay, we'll test one.
Maybe
and
it's Odin. Odin is sending some kind of some craft back. I like all that Nordic kind of the Odin and all that stuff going on, dude.
A fight between Loki and Odin in the atmosphere.
Hey, Nacy, stranger things have happened, right? Why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
At this point in time, I am ready to about believe anything.
Now we start talking about like things in the sky when we refer to the Mahabharata and stuff, then that's a whole different can of worms, because if you were seeing spirals in the sky back then, what was causing that? remember that weird painting? I think it's from the 1500s or something. I think it was in a German town, or it would have been.
The big space fight. Yeah, I'll dig that up.
Yeah.
Nuremberg, I think it was it not?
Yeah, and it was like the paint had like crosses and different like weird geometric things in the sky, and it was like, whoa, what the hell were they seeing back then, man?
Here it is here. We'll get it on the other side. It is Nuremberg, ladies and gentlemen, but join us after the break for more of this out of this world, or is it? Woo, right here on your Freaky Friday. Don't go anywhere. There we go, there we go. Look at that man, look at that rugged individual there. I tell you.
I like how it says, England can't handle the woo.
They can't handle the woo. They couldn't handle 11 Scotsmen today, dude. I'm telling you, man. But that one you mentioned there you go. That's an interesting one. That it's got like the cigar type shaped objects. You could argue.
Yeah, like rods with like circles embedded in them, and then like that black thing at the bottom. It's almost like a Star Wars was it Imperial destroyer or something. It's weird, dude.
1561, dude. 1561. Yep.
That's weird. It's so crazy. And I remember one of the supposed explanations was that maybe everybody ate the bread that had the
mold.
Yeah, the mold, the mold on it, and it was just a mass hallucination. But I don't know. I don't know, man.
I don't know either, man. I think that's a really convenient out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you think, Nacy?
Is there not more than a handful of paintings from back in the day that show these anomalies?
Yeah,
I remember
we done a show with Bill Bean recently, Nacy, where we actually looked at a lot of these things. And I tell you what, it's hard to really come up with any other explanation other than flying craft that people were painting, you know?
Especially the one I recall where it shows like a fireball with the tail, and then they show an individual inside it sitting down like piloting it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what one that was. I might even have a folder of them here. I remember doing that show.
It wasn't that the one where it also showed what appeared to be like a beam going into somebody's head or something like that, or maybe that was a whole other one. But like it was almost like beaming knowledge into somebody.
There we go. Here it is there.
Oh, okay.
We'll do this. It's 12 paintings that have got allegedly some kind of. That's pretty weird. That kind of woo going on there.
And remember that epic spiral.
Does that entity have a face on its bum?
It does indeed. It does, and its tail's a big nose. Indeed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So what were you saying there, Nacy?
Wasn't there that epic spiral above New York that they had to call in the Avengers to shut down?
Probably.
Yeah.
Speaking of Loki, I think Loki was the one who opened up that portal.
That Marvel show's just started. I was telling Scotty last night. Very, very, very decent, very entertaining. And you were telling us that your mum's a bit of a Loki fan, right, Scott?
Yeah, Loki's her favorite character in the MCU, universe or whatever of movies. So she likes Loki because he's good and bad, right? You never know with Loki. Like,
but I must admit, I mean, there's something off about his hat. Like the horns. It's like it's not a good hat. It really is. As far as like MCU, like uniforms and costumes go for superheroes and things. That's a bad hat. He got a bad deal. Thor got a cool hammer, and he got crazy horns on the. Crazy looking dude.
Is it like the antlers more?
Nah, if it was antlers, that'd be interesting. This looks like weird. It's just bizarre. Here we go.
All right.
Frequency Radio. The wicked one.
I tell you what, it's even more off than usual. Like your 20 seconds wouldn't do me any good today, Nacy, because I thought I'd waited the extra 20 seconds there, and it's only just coming back. So
It's more like 40 seconds, 30 or 40 now. I don't know.
I'm telling you, man. Put some
Maybe time.
delay spray on the brake. It's working.
Hey, I think time and space is distorting. It's like being pulled slowly as we do. Like every Freaky Friday, everything is like moving out of phase just slightly more and more. You know what I mean?
The Minutemen, the actual time police turned up at Wembley tonight. That's how much of a disturbance in the force there was in England today. I'm telling you, man.
I think.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And I can't quite believe this, but we're going into hour number 2 already. Last week was a really quick Freaky Friday as well. Maybe it's just, as we've all been talking about for a number of years now, actually, time is really, really acting weird. It goes even faster than normal. I mean, time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, cool, I get that. But then other times, it just kind of condenses and dilates and does weird things, and Freaky Friday is one of those moments.
Space-time anomalies, my friend. Space-time anomalies. I think we are experiencing the Terrence McKenna, some of Terrence McKenna's action here.
Now,
yeah,
we were talking UFOs. But on you go, Nacy. Sorry, man.
Oh, I was just going to try to do the Scottish accent again and say there's a flux in the space-time continuum.
There's a flux in the space-time continuum, Captain. So, if we come over here, right, Nacy, you were asking about the paintings depicting, well, what could arguably be UFO-type stuff in them. The one you mentioned, Nacy, that looks like almost a comet with a guy sitting inside it, comes from the Crucifixion of Christ, which was actually made in 1350. And that shows not one, but 2 of these types of craft, one on the left-hand side, one on the right. They've got angels up there as well, so we can't explain it away as being some kind of depiction of an angel, because it's got angels there. So I don't know what these things are meant to be at all, but...
Especially the one on the right. It looks like a capsule,
doesn't it?
Right? And you know, I'm gonna have to go back to my me being an anime nerd, but it reminds me of the capsule that the Saiyans came to Earth in, you know, on Dragon Ball Z, just this round orb capsule. So
I'm just gonna fire up my screen capture software. It's not firing up. I'll drop this over in TFR in just a second. But they've got another couple of pictures here. Wow. One comes from 1428 to 1432. And it's called The Miracle of the Snow. And it says painted by Mussolino da Panicle or Panicale. The Miracle of the Snow portrays the legend of snowfall.
Well, I was gonna say on my screen, I thought it said pancake because it looks like it
does look like pancake, but it's Panicale or Panical portrays the legend of snowfall that happened on a hot summer's day in Rome in the 4th century. Now, Jesus and Mary seem to be overlooking the incident from the top of a cloud, but behind them are a lot of disc-shaped objects. These objects could be thought of as clouds, but for a painter who pays extensive attention to detail, such simplistic depiction of clouds doesn't quite seem correct. Doesn't quite look like... I mean, the front one looks like a cloud. I suppose it could be, like, dark-bottomed clouds, not one of the better ones. This is an interesting one. The Maradona with Saint Giovannino. Yeah, Giovannino, the late 1400s. And you've got an object over the right-hand corner of the Madonna. But what's interesting is, I mean, you could, okay, it's a dark object in the sky, but there's actually a picture of somebody on the ground looking up at it, like kind of covering their eyes as if they're looking into the sky, and this thing's almost shrouded in light, right? It looks like light rays coming off it, Scotty, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's almost like they painted a, you know, how many times have we seen like video footage of something that looks kind of blobby and a weird mass like that? Like there's no definition to it, right? Like, I mean, it's something odd, but you can't really grasp what it is. So it's almost like a painting of actually what somebody saw in the sky of something that you can't quite make out what it is, but it's like a direct representation of it in painting. It's really weird.
That is a weird one. That's quite a famous one. That's one of the ones we covered with Travis and the guys when I was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got here? Well, the next one is not loading up. And we've got one after that. Now, I tell you what, it's called the Triumph of Summer Tapestry. It comes from 1538. Right up at the very top there. That does look like very saucer shaped, like stereotypical like saucers, the ones that you see depicted from, say, Admiral Byrd and the bad guys from World War II. I've seen pictures of very similar looking saucer shapes to that there. Quite hard to tell because it's really small, but there's definitely something to it, right?
It definitely has that shape, that classic flying saucer shape.
Yeah,
is definitely being represented there.
And we've got one more. No, that's not a very good one, I don't think. There's actually better ones than what we're seeing here, to be honest with you. Nah, it's not a very good one. Not impressed with that at all. But yeah, Nacy, there's a lot of these paintings, man. So what do you put it down to, dude? Are we, is it literally they were seeing these things? And if they weren't seeing them, where did they get the idea for the shape of them? And what were they trying to depict, you know?
Well, I've talked because of my fascination with UFOs since I was a kid. You know, I remember the old In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy, and I remember going to the local library and trying to get books on UFOs and stuff. So I've always had a fascination with it. And I've even asked my elders, you know, what about extraterrestrials? And they're like, what about them? You know, it's like, what do you want to know about them? You know, not like, oh, they don't exist. It's like, what do you want to know about them? And I wish I could find it, but we actually have a word for UFO. And in its translation, it would be called a sky sled. You know, because during the winter, dog sleds were prevalently used with the Anishinaabe people. And this was called a sky sled because it was something that was used for an individual to travel. So I absolutely believe that they're out there. Why are they visiting us? Maybe they're just amazed, you know, like how you can't look away from an accident happening. Maybe that's why they keep visiting us, and they're just like, oh my gosh, check these silly entities out.
Well, I must admit, I still think that, sorry, Scott, I still think that we're probably, maybe not our planet, like, specifically. I do, but this is going to sound way out there, and we're going way out there. It's Freaky Friday. But I do think that the universe is not just life here, and I think it's teeming with it. And I do think it's going to be something, I'll use Star Trek, you know, the Alpha Quadrant, Beta Quadrant. I think there's probably beings, and we talked about this last night with the Australians, but this area of space, this solar system, yeah, cool, we're the biggest show on the planet here, but who like owns, who in the exopolitical world, Scotty? Who owns this dominion? Do you know what I mean? Whose like rule do we really fall under? And if that's the case, then that could explain why we've got constant visitation, keeping a little eye on, and hey, we're told that we're about to be the biggest show in the universe right now, right? So some people say, and I can't disagree with him because I've said for some time there's something very big around the corner. Can't put my finger on what it is. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm hoping there's been like.
I kind of like your little Star Trek reference there, you know, like, because we'll say, for instance, you have the Starfleet or the Federation. There's a quadrant of space that falls under their, what would you say, their rule? Not even a rule, like just kind of their
Empire?
Yeah, something like that. But then there are planets and stuff located within that they don't even interfere with, right? You know, because of the Prime Directive.
The Prime Directive, we didn't interfere with others, you know?
And then, you know, you have the Romulans and the Vulcans or whatever. They kind of own their area of space, and there's a whole bunch of planets and solar systems or whatever that fall under their umbrella, but they don't interfere either. You know, it's not like these planets know
their territory.
Yeah, that's a better word for it.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. The territory of like Starfleet and the territory of the Romulans and all that. But then there's like planets within that territory that don't even realize that they're under the territory of of some alien race or whatever, because they've never bothered with them, messed with them. So it is an interesting question. It is an interesting question, Kev. I mean, are we just merely floating in the territory of some aliens kind of quadrant of space or something like that, and maybe they occasionally pop in just to see what's going on with the hairless apes that are running around on the surface of this planet? Who knows?
This goes with my theory that the Earth is like a zoo, and they had like a contest throughout the solar system or the galaxy, and they said, okay, everybody, this is the parameters of this planet. We're going to set it up. We're going to bring the moon in on it. And this is going to be the conditions of the planet. Who can come up with the best creatures to habitate it? And so they all got together and they brought the octopi and the jellyfish and the wombat and the platypus and then humans. And all of the different races were different entities creating these individuals. And to even go further, maybe this is one of the reasons why they're doing DNA testing, because they're trying to find out what humans belong to what quadrant or territory.
Interesting way of looking at it. It's I think that's on the table, because the whole DNA testing thing, how that just like really exploded within the past what couple years or so, about 5 years. The 23andMe and the ancestry stuff and all of that, and it's like, why the big rush to collect everybody's DNA or get them
personalized medical healthcare?
Yeah, yes,
medical health. But anyway, I've got our picture here before we verge too close to that old thing. Look at this one here. This is one I hadn't seen before until I got shown it. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah. Now, Nacy, I'm going to describe this for you, right? This is called the Baptism of Christ. It's from 1710. And it says, we totally missed the part about the alien ship guiding the three wise men. And it's a sepia, very sepia kind of coloured picture. And you see a bunch of dudes hanging out on a hillside. And obviously we're talking about the Baptism of Christ. But in the sky, kind of weird because you've got these beams of light coming down from the very top of this painting. They're symmetrical lines. They're parallel lines. But it's where they're coming from that's really, really, really interesting, because this isn't the sun in the sky. it's not any depiction of the moon that I've ever seen, unless the moon was tic tac shaped or kind of flat and circular one. But yeah, it's like weird. This here, and the light that's coming down is the light that's bathing the baptism of Christ. And then you throw in the old Elohim from the Bible, which we mentioned last night, which means God's plural. So is this spaceman coming down and getting all this going? Was Jesus a spaceman?
It literally looks like 4 laser beams coming down from the bottom of a disc-shaped object. There's no other way to describe it.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. That for me is one of the most compelling ones, and I dropped that picture over in the chat room at TFR Live a couple of minutes ago. But yeah, there's a lot of these depictions, a lot of things that certainly hint to aerial vehicles, shall we say, Nacy. Unidentifiable, because they don't look like anything that like we recognize in the sky today, apart from UFOs, or should I say UAPs. Now that's the kind of language that we're meant to be using, you know? Indeed. And I think Nacy, Scotty's still here. I thought he had both been abducted by the Nordics.
Indeed.
I can't confirm or deny. I just PPP'd and I forgot to unmute when I was talking.
Tonight. It's banned. PPP's planned. McWoo. Get high on the McWoo of life, Nacy. I'm telling you, man. It's the way forward, dude.
Well, when you're describing all these paintings and you're giving out the titles of them and stuff, and how a lot of them bring in Christ into the factor of it. And so from the beginning, you know, technically, could we not say that Christ is an extraterrestrial? Because he's not a human. He imbued human form. You know, so he came from heaven and he ascended back into heaven. Now, I can't recall, but I do believe that when they showed the tractor beam bringing people down to the planet, I think they showed it as like a beam coming down. Yeah. So
I've always said the big man, there's a good chance he's an alien. You think about the whole story, you know, an immaculate conception. Well, we can do that with science, but that would have looked pretty magical back in the time that Jesus was kicking around, right? And Mary must have had a bit of a problem trying to sell that one at home to her old man, you know. So I'm thinking there was a bit of genetic manipulation going on, you know. So I'm open to it, dude. And probably there'll be people out there like throwing Bibles at the screen right now. That's blasphemy, you know. But is it really?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, people shouldn't really get upset about it because.
By definition, Nacy's right. He's extraterrestrial, right? Because he's not from here.
Yeah, if you boil it down, he's not of this earth. He's like God in the living flesh, right? I mean, he's not of this planet, you know, and he has essentially alien qualities that regular humans don't have or possess, you know. So by all accounts, he's a supernatural being. That is,
I think of this conversation of Joseph coming home, you know, from the local herdsman or the local carpentry meeting, and addressing Mary and saying, "Okay, Mary, please, can you explain this again to me? Because the boys are really hassling me. That an angel came to you and told you that you're going to have a baby of gods."
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I've always tried to figure out how that conversation would go. And just in my own house, Anne comes in from work. You know, Kev, I've got something kind of miraculous to tell you here. You're not going to believe this. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm not going to believe it. I'm going to think Anne strayed away But you know, it's gonna break up a relationship. And who knew? Who knew I missed the chance to be the surrogate father of the second coming, eh? I tell you, it wouldn't go down too well in today's world. Men wouldn't, I don't think men would take it.
Well, maybe she was upset with the lack of the first coming.
Well, there could be that as well. There's always that, Nacy. There's always that. Scotty, come on, man. What do you think?
All I gotta say is that he trusted his woman. He stuck by her. So, and hey, it looks like it all worked out in the end because she doesn't sound like she was lying. I mean, if you go by everything that has occurred since then, that child ended up becoming quite the individual, right? Quite the individual with quite the abilities. And
don't think they'll still be talking about us in 2,000 years and forming religions around us. So, yep, you're right.
Yep. So there was something to it. I think there was definitely something to it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Maybe the speculation island cult they might talk about.
Maybe, dude. I'm actually starting to worry
Not a
about
religion.
that. Yeah, because I mean, I remember going over all the telltale signs you're in a cult, and I've slowly started recognizing that we might need to change the way that we operate around here. I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it. I'm only joking. But to follow on from this, then. We joked at the start of the show, Scotland getting a draw down at Wembley. I had to bring it up again just to remind myself it's real. But it was like a harbinger of the apocalypse. And it might surprise some people to know that when you have this conversation with my good friend Bill Bean, he talks about if there is some final battle, it will very likely be like Craft in the Sky. Like one of these space battles we've been talking about.
Think about it. I mean, if you want to go with the whole angle of angels and demons battling, in the sky, the final battle or whatever, I mean, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see entities in the sky with abilities that we do not have, far beyond our earthly human capabilities. You're going to see stuff going on that is going to be absolutely unbelievable, on a supernatural level. And you're totally going to see that kind of stuff. You're going to see portals opening up and things flying in and just all kinds of craziness, right? I mean, it's literally, I'm going to have to go back to the Mahabharata. It's going to be something like they witnessed. Some kind of crazy battle going on for the earth for whatever reason, for us down here for whatever reason they might be fighting to save us or something. I don't know, man. I don't know, but it's definitely going to be a hell of a thing when it occurs. And it's not if it occurs, it's just when it's going to occur, because I definitely believe something like that will happen at some point. So, yeah.
And it was discussed in the Vedas about epic battle in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cultures that talk about, some kind of, a reckoning, a final battle, at the end. And
I'll come here to see that crap, man. That's going to be like, wow. It's a lot of views we'll get on YouTube when you capture some of those things fighting up in the sky, right?
Yeah, I mean, how's that going to play?
10 minutes on Earth uploading a video to YouTube. Come on, get up. Come on.
Hey, might as well give it one last hurrah,
Indeed.
And you got to put at the end of your video, not clickbait, right?
Now, I'll tell you what, though, we done a show on programming the other day, myself, Nano, and Jules of the Flame, and the girls knocked it out the park. In fact, they knocked it out the quadrant, let me tell you. But then just yesterday, one of my favorite directors that we brought up on the show, J.J. Abrams, he's actually going to be launching a mainstream documentary series. I think it's HBO or one of these big kind of network channels, all about UFOs and aliens. So the mainstream primetime programming, if you want to look at it that way, is continuing. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a significant director, dude. He's the end boy. He does all the good ones, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, who just directed the latest Star Trek films? J.J. Abrams. So there you go. You know, and hey, whenever we get back, we're gonna go back to Scandinavia. So I got more stuff.
Holy shimoly, dude! Where has the time gone?
Yep.
Hey, time flies when you're having fun.
It does. It does. So yeah, we're almost up. What? We're halfway through the show, man. It doesn't feel like we're halfway through the show. It feels like we're only like
just setting sail. We're just lifted the ropes off the harbor and we're just pushing the boat out and we're looking at the map for Speculation Island, and then Naysay shouts and goes, "Boys, I've taken care of it. I've dilated time. We're there. We're hopping a skip and a portal away. And we will be in the promised land of Freaky Friday right after these short messages. Don't go anywhere." Damn, that was some time in there. So yes, we have got, wow, I can't believe we're halfway through the show already. That is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy stuff. So while we're on the break, did you know that they have solved the Golden Gate Bridge's mystery hum? I didn't even know that the Golden Gate was notorious for giving hummers, but here we go over here. It says a strange noise emanating from the iconic bridge has been driving locals around the bend. Now considered to be one of the wonders of the modern world, and it is absolutely awesome.
Before you go forward, before you go on, can I go ahead and just take a guess on what it is?
It's got to be something to do with the wind or the way it would.
Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe the wind causing some kind of a resonance or something or vibration.
I'm thinking so, dude. It's like the Northern Lights. It's like, well, haven't you already worked this out? It's like, come on, man. So it says the instantly recognizable 1.7 mile long Golden Gate Bridge, which links San Fran with Marin County in California. Problematically, however, recent work carried out on the bridge has altered the acoustics in such a way as to produce an excruciating loud, high-pitched sound that has generated a plethora of noise complaints while leaving officials scrambling for an explanation. And it goes on to say, after studying the phenomenon extensively, we've determined that the sound comes from a new and more aerodynamic railing that we installed on the sidewalk. And it was part of the Golden Bridge retrofit designed to protect the bridge for future generations by allowing it to withstand high winds up to 100 miles per hour. And here's the noise right here. That would get annoying.
Oh man. So by retrofitting it, they essentially created a gigantic whistle on accident is what they did.
Sounds like it,
yeah. Yeah, that would get really annoying. I don't know if I could handle that kind of sound.
No, that's the one that kind of goes right through you, man.
Yeah. I mean, I can deal with a low hum or a low rumble or something.
But not that.
Start getting into those high-pitched sounds, then things start getting extremely aggravating and irritating. So hopefully they can fix that and maybe figure out how to...
I take it you're a bit like me then. You're a bit of a engineering geek, architecture type geek. I appreciate a good building or a bridge, man.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Once again, synchronicity. We were locked up in.
Bridge. You seen that one, the Fourth Road Bridge and the Fourth Rail Bridge we've got over here? They're iconic, dude. Oh, they're good ones.
They're the ones with the crazy like
girders.
Oh, girders.
Made from iron brew, let me tell you.
Yeah, big.
Here we go. I think.
No fear. We are TFR.
We are TFR. That's like
That is
31. See, 31, and we're only that's only the break finishing.
It's like off by almost 2 minutes or something, a minute or two.
Like I said
Yeah.
to Daisy earlier, his 20-second rule's out the window now. It's like it's getting longer and longer. I'm gonna have to
Telling
raise
you,
an issue here.
We're out of phase. Maybe something has changed. Maybe we've shifted into another timeline, and this is the difference, Kev. The difference in this timeline is that, we come back from break about a minute later.
Well, I may have something to add to that little conversation when we come back, actually. Because I'm kind of blown away last night again when the guys were telling me something about the Schumann resonance. So I think we'll start there and then we'll get back to Scandinavia for you. But it ties in with the kind of Golden Gate Bridge type stuff. No, it doesn't really, actually. That blatantly was a lie. It doesn't fit anything with that. That's okay.
Well, we'll figure out how to bridge the gap.
Yes, we're bridging the gap. Welcome back, Mr. Nacy. You see, that was a really cool intro. We've never done it like that before. But we're back for the second half of today's Freaky Friday. Hear you all out there absolutely delighted. And we took a snap poll over in YouTube land. And you won't be surprised to hear that to the question, can you handle the woo? It's a resounding 96%. Now, I would imagine, now, who is it? Who can't handle the woo? Who was the one that had to say they couldn't handle it? There's always one, isn't there?
There's a 4% out there that just it's too much for them. It's too much. Their mind is melting. It's just when you say, don't not to the point to where your brain turns to black goo. Well, that 4%. There's that 4% where gooage is taking place.
I like it.
Much
Gooage.
gooage.
I like it. There's actually a new TV show on Netflix that I'm going to start watching because it's called Katka. And I think it's Icelandic. It's dubbed. I was telling Scott, I don't mind dubbed things. The storylines are good, and the storyline in this is very good because it's about a volcano. It's about a big glacier. It's about caves. There's weirdness underground. But there's also a scientist at one point who's playing with a little petri dish. And what if I was to tell you in that petri dish is, you guessed it, the black goo. And it's doing some stuff. It's doing some stuff. So I'm going to watch it, see what it's all about.
There's a little bit of a jittering going on.
The jiggering and the jiggering, I'm telling you, man. Absolutely. But before we go back to Scandinavia, I'll get your guys' thoughts on this. And I haven't checked it out, okay? Right off the bat, let me be very honest about that. But I've got no reason to believe, or I've got no reason to think that the guys on the show last night, Evan and Stephen Strong, would be lying to me or blowing smoke up my tuchus. But they were saying, just in the last week, the old Schumann resonance, that frequency of the planet, for one of the first times ever, it actually went off the scale. Like, off the scale. Peaked, and then they pulled it. Now, it could be some kind of anomaly with the equipment, the measurement kind of stuff that they use. I'm open to that. That would be the logical explanation. But they showed how back in December last year, and it was the University of Kiev, I believe, it was somewhere in Ukraine anyway, they'd actually got a picture of the Schumann resonance graph. And it spiked big time towards the end of last year when they were doing ceremonies and when there was cities around the world reporting strange light phenomena. Pillars of light coming up from the ground. Glasgow was one of the places. This weird light, just pillars of light, Scotty. And I'll dig up a photo of that in a minute. But while I'm doing that, I want to get your guys' thoughts on the increase of the frequency in the planet. Could it be that that contributes to our perception of time speeding up? Could that be contributing to the weirdness? Me and Evan, one of the guests last night, we've not been able to really sleep well this week, and I'm going to be, I don't want to worry anyone out there right now, but I've not slept now in 48 hours.
Oh, very interesting you bring that up, Mr. Baker, because I have been having an extremely difficult time sleeping over the past week or so as well. My whole sleep pattern is completely messed up at the moment. Like, I literally had to, look, I got up at 4 a.m. First of all, I'm a night owl. I usually do the whole kind of third shift routine, and I've been doing that since the end of the 90s, right? Like, that's just how I am. I sleep during the day and I'm up during the night, and so anything that is different from that is, kind of like but I've been in this weird pattern to where I've been tired. I've been trying, then I got thrown off and I've been sleeping in the night and then getting up at like 4 a.m. and then having to try and take a nap, later in the day. And, I literally just got up from taking a nap, before I jumped on here on Freaky Friday, because I would have been extremely tired by the end of it. If I would have been up since 4 a.m. all the way till the end of Freaky Friday, which is 9 p.m., here, in my time. So yeah, the whole sleep thing has been very, very weird, this past week or so. So I'm with you on that. And, going to the Schumann resonance thing, I mean, our bodies are synchronized, we're synchronized with the Schumann resonance. And so any fluctuation in that is going to cause a fluctuation in us. Our body is either going to try and synchronize with it, or resynchronize with it, or it's going to be out of phase and it's going to be causing some issues, and I think that's one of the problems that they talked about when it comes to going to Mars, right? Like, once we get there, our bodies are going to be expecting the Schumann resonance of Earth, but Mars has a different resonance. However, I mean, it's interesting because I think they say when we go into space, our bodies shift to Mars's Schumann resonance. So it's almost like we're tuned in to Mars's Schumann resonance, which I find very interesting, because maybe that's kind of the leftover genetic memory that maybe we originated from Mars at some point. I don't know, but yeah, but going to this whole Schumann resonance thing of it going off the charts and spiking and changing, I think this ties into a lot of the weirdness going on with just Earth changes, magnetic disturbances. I think the Earth is going through an extremely volatile period right now of change or something. So,
did you see Suspicious Observers? Big long video they put out this week?
No, I haven't.
I think it's pertinent that not only you watch this, but anyone listening to this right now. I often recommend people go and check out Suspicious Observers. He does something on the catastrophe cycle, and they put out a big video this week, and it's maybe 12, 13 minutes long, but it is compelling. And, it kind of ties in with the info that we got into last night about the physical changes that are taking place. Not just on our planet right now, but other planets, even like other stars quite close around us as well. They talk about the wave over at Suspicious Observers. Look, I can't tell you that they're on it 100% confirmed, but I find it very interesting. And it does tie in with a bigger 12,000 year cycle that when they go through it, we're due for something to happen. And all the telltale signs are starting to kind of line up.
It's very interesting when you look into, this galactic wave, if you will, that emanates from the center of our galaxy and then perturbates outwards towards, it's like a ripple. that originates from the center and then it spreads out across the galaxy. And at the center of every galaxy is a supermassive black hole. And if you look, and do some research into black holes and, a lot of the kind of study and different things about it, that black holes go through a cycle of what they call burping. Literally, the black holes burp, and they'll kind of eject material.
Scotty, I think I might have more anecdotal supplementary evidence to your previous comment that we might be on a different timeline and things have shifted. Because what if I was to tell you now that scientists are saying, well, maybe not. Maybe no black hole at the center of the galaxy after all.
Oh, no.
I know, dude. I know. It's like, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Okay? There we go. Popular mechanics. The center of the galaxy might not be a black hole after all. 16th of June, 2021. The center of the Milky Way could be dark matter instead of a supermassive black hole. The study is based on observations of the objects that orbit closest to the center. And if this is true, this could help how supermassive black holes originate. So they tell you it might not be a black hole, but then they say that the evidence they found could support the formation of a black hole. I'm not going to get deeply into it, but just when you mentioned that there, the old head said, hang on, that's changed, or has it? Has it?
All right. Well, in my mind, it hasn't. I still believe at the center of a galaxy, there's a supermassive black hole. But
don't shatter Scotty's paradigm.
Yeah, don't shatter my paradigm.
No, mate, don't shoot the messenger. I'm merely the messenger. I agree with you guys. I agree with you.
If I can go back to the whole thing about the sleeping.
Yeah, man.
I myself, I don't get a lot of frequent sleep as it is, but I would say for the last 2 months, my sleep has been even more wackadoodle. And definitely in the last 2 weeks, I've noticed it more so. When I fast, I do tend to sleep more. That helps the day go through and stuff. But yeah, I'm feeling that same thing. And as far as the Schumann resonance, I don't know if either of you remember Greg Braden. He had a video series. It was called Awakening to Zero Point. And boy, did he have a beautiful mullet. But
he still does, dude. He still does. I seen him not long ago, I think. Still mullet.
He still sports it? Nice.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, man. He's cool.
Oh, yeah. And I got turned on to Greg Braden back in 94, 95. And, he was talking about the gradual changing in the Schumann, and that is 25 years ago. So like Scotty was saying, we are genetically created to be within a certain biosphere. And if there's a disruption to that sphere, then of course there's going to be, each individual is different, to add that. But there's going to be a disruption that we also feel.
Yep, exactly. I mean, if a change happens to your biosphere, then all of the living creatures within that biosphere are going to be affected by it, right? I mean, it's like when you do the experiment and you create, one of those little biospheres in a bubble or something. Any change to it, it's going to cause a change in anything living in it. So, and the Earth is the ultimate biosphere.
Okay, I've got something to show you now, guys. I've got something. 2 seconds, Nacy. I'm going to explain this one for you. I messaged Evan Strong from last night because I went to take a look online there. And I couldn't find anything about the Schumann resonance that they mentioned. So I thought, well, I'll go to the source, and I've got a picture of the chart. Right, the chart, the Schumann resonance chart. Boom.
Ouch. Whoa.
There we go. That's dramatic. Now, usually, Nacy, you see it like green and it's on a blue background, and You see it going up sometimes, but this gets halfway across and it's about, it looks like 8 o'clock in the morning, between 7 and 8 in the morning. This thing just goes haywire. And it's like so off the charts. It's glowing white, orange, green. It's off the scale. It's crazy.
The color palette, it doesn't even have enough colors to represent how high it has spiked off the chart. It went green, yellow, orange, red, and then into white, and then just
and lasted for between, well, let's say 8 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. 6 hours. That's pretty cray-cray.
And if we talk about how all these electromagnetic fields affect themselves, and if there is some type of cosmic wave that comes from the galactic center, it definitely brings me up. I brought him up many times. The book Earth Under Fire by Paul
Laviolette.
Thank you, sir.
There you go, man.
Yeah, so and then it's funny that we bring up this too, because I was telling you guys before the show, I just revisited the movie Knowing, and that was one of the whole things that was occurring was that the galactic wave hit our sun, thus causing our sun to have a huge ejecta, and it scorched the planet.
And that's really in line with the video I was talking about from Suspicious Observers, because it causes the sun to almost like shed its outer crust, and then that impacts on our already weakening magnetic field. Bada bing, bada boom. Dark ages are in the room, you know.
And then let me throw this in here. Let me throw in a little bit of crustal displacement. Because if anybody has researched the whole crustal displacement theory or whatever, I mean, that's the whole thing of where the entire surface of the Earth could shift, like the skin of an orange, kind of like rotating around the inner part of the orange, where you don't have your crustal plates really banging into each other. They're all moving in unison, right? The whole crust of the Earth shifts, and do these changes in the Schumann resonance, do these shifts in the magnetic field and all of that stuff, is that kind of a precursor or a warning that could be something that is on the horizon? The reason I bring this up is because I was watching a whole thing on Atlantis. They were talking about Atlantis, and they were talking about crustal displacement and the cycle of crustal displacement that has occurred. And if you do a little digging, and then you find out that the last time there was a crustal displacement, it coincides around the time that Atlantis was destroyed. So if you have some kind of a crustal displacement, I would assume that would cause a flood of some kind, right? Because it would create tsunamis and all of that. So I just thought I would bring that up and throw that into the equation as well, because apparently we're due for a crustal displacement shift. If you look into these cycles, and that's why there's a lot of belief that Atlantis may be located in Antarctica, because Antarctica was once located in a more temperate or maybe even tropical area And then once this crustal displacement occurred, it shifted the whole, surface of the planet around, and it moved the continent of Antarctica from a temperate climate down to what is now the South Pole. So who knows?
Here's two things too that I ponder. With all of the mining and strip mining that we do on this planet, where we're pulling all of the heavy metals out of the planet, now would that not also cause that area of the crust to change its magnetivity? And so therefore could it possibly be that all of these mines and their placements are one of the things that help these crusts to maintain their position? And now that they've gotten rid of all of this heavy metals out of all these different locations, the next time we possibly have this crustal shift, then is it going to just slide a little bit more? And if the Earth is like this sphere, isn't it safe to say that there's a feasibility that the entire planet in itself could tilt in orbit if there was a great magnetic force beyond our planet?
Indeed. No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, the Earth is a giant magnet, right? So if it experiences some kind of a magnetic pull or something, like you said, a magnetic force from somewhere else, it's going to move the planet, I would think. You get two magnets close to each other, they're going to start pulling on each other and moving. So, no, that's definitely, I would say, a possibility.
Maybe with Antarctica, that it once was near the equator because the whole sphere rotated. Yep,
that's the whole sort of premise of crustal displacement, is that everything rotated in unison. It wasn't like one continent or anything moved. It was all of the continents. They all shifted in unison, and the Earth kind of reestablished a new rotational axis, So, you have an event like that occur, of course, that's going to create a lot of, I would say, catastrophe and disaster and a lot of craziness, at least when that is occurring. So
and that's all part of that update from suspicious observers as well. He gets into the to-in and the fro-in, or the jiggering and the jiggering that might happen. But people were asking when this actual event took place with the Schumann that we were looking at. I've got the date here. It took place at 1500 UTC. That's Universal Time, so pretty much GMT. And it was on the 16th of this month, so 2 days ago. Wednesday time, I think.
Pearlie's birthday.
And it says hers was the 15th, Nacy. So the day after
sorry.
that. No, all good too. It says for 4 days, the chart from Tomsk in Russia, which registered what is known as the Schumann resonance, has been dark. No white splashes or lines which indicate a specific numerical level of incoming light charges to the planet's inner core and outer field. Many people think that something has gone awry with the technological equipment that is responsible for registering the numbers. Some feel that the problem is due to Mercury retrograde, causing glitches in the equipment, because this can indeed happen at these times. Computers are slow, cell phones are dysfunctional, cars are often having problems, anything technological can be erratic. Some feel that the resonance registering equipment has been purposefully tampered with, but few truly understand what is actually occurring. For those who are familiar with how the chart looks, they know that there are white vertical splashes or lines against a wavy, like bluish or green background. The more horizontal blue, blah, 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 The planet is surrounded by a magnetosphere, which contains charged particles. Try to see where it gets to their theory on what's going on here. It says all planetary spheres are enlightened with codes when Source sends light, which transforms all of creation, including DNA, cellular records, and every atom and subatomic particle of carbon-based existence. Whoa.
Ooh.
Whoa. Something weird going on. I mean, logically, you would probably lean towards equipment, but who knows?
But yeah, who knows? And I like how they threw retrograde in there as well, because maybe it did go haywire. Maybe retrograde did cause the equipment to go wonky. And speaking of retrograde, I mean, we're in the midst of this. What is it, like a super retrograde or something like that? They said it was supposed to be particularly. Oh, and we're going to break once again. My God.
We're going to go into retrograde until after this break.
I was just about to hand it to you, Scotty, to take us into the Scandinavian stuff. I didn't I apologize, guys. I didn't expect us to take a segment on the Schumann. My bad, but it's interesting.
No. Hey, it wouldn't be a Freaky Friday if we didn't divert the ship every now and then.
You got to.
All right. So while Kev is away getting some coffee, we're going to get into some more craziness going on in Scandinavia whenever we get back. We're going to be talking about, let me pull it up here, the strange mystery of the Scandinavian ghost rockets of 1946. That should be a very interesting read. And after that, I also have some good stuff talking about, let's see here. Where is it? I'll pull it up here in a second. I thought I had it pulled up. There it is. We're going to be talking about daytime or lunar time, the mysterious influences of the sun.
Triggered me.
No, that's why I pulled it up. I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get naysay in on some of this action. In fact, I don't know. Maybe we'll come back with this since we're already on this Schumann resonance thing and all of that. So when Kev gets back here, I'll let him know. Mr. Baker, I think that whenever we get back, since we're already on the Schumann resonance and we're talking about celestial stuff, I'll talk about this daytime or lunar time and the mysterious influences of the sun and moon on biology. And then after that, we'll get into the Scandinavian ghost rockets of 1946. So
Wow.
Stuff. Good topics, good woo today. You know, it's just
blown away by
we're
the
blazing.
time, dude. Blown away by the time, man.
Yeah, me too.
What about you,
I think
Naysay? Is it going fast for you, Naysay? Are you thinking, what are these boys on about? This is like the longest show ever.
No, the shows have, I would say, like the last 4 shows to me have seemed like to whiz by.
Yeah.
Last week was mind-boggling.
No PPP tonight, and usually that means like the day's dragging when there's none of that. Not dragons as in breathing fire, although that can happen too. But that's what's even more weirding me out. It's like, this is bizarre, but I can guarantee, right, I won't get asleep again tonight. This is not good, because this is me going into like my 3rd night now, Scott. Like, really quite concerning.
I know how it is, man. I know how it is, and you're gonna have to like force yourself somehow.
I've got like tablets from the doc, and even they're like, I might as well be eating sugar candy. Do you know what I mean? It's not working, dude. Big hand.
Got any PPP?
No. But I had that up until today. So it's like that hasn't contributed to the. That's weird, like really weird, dude.
Valerian root.
Schumann resonance. Maybe it's that Schumann resonance. Maybe you're not in phase with it or something. I don't know.
Phasing out. Maybe I'm just gonna disappear in the chair here, man.
Like I said, I'm having just as difficult a time with my sleep as you are. Like, and just because I lay down doesn't necessarily mean I'm asleep.
And when we done it on the show
Like,
last night, Evan, he agreed with me, and people in disco, I was seeing them, a lot of them experiencing the same stuff. Just can't sleep, can't rest.
and then Naysay can probably vouch for this. When you're dealing with issues such as us in wheelchairs, we don't seem to sleep very deep anyways. We sleep really lightly for whatever reason.
Here we go, dude. Here we go.
All right.
Well, we're only 2 hours late. The Wookiee finally turned up. You can blame me for that one. Yes, you can blame me.
Maybe
No.
his sleep patterns were off.
Exactly. I think maybe the time, the space-time phase is so out of whack that the Wookiee just didn't even know that Freaky Friday was going on. He probably still thought we had an hour to go or something before we went on it. Who knows?
I think you're right, Scott. But we're going to keep it on this kind of track, right? Because you've got something to go into here now, don't you? That it's really on the same line.
Yeah, I figured, since we're on this sort of vein of this kind of topic.
That is, man.
Yeah, it is. That's a cool
Gorgeous,
picture.
man.
Yeah, I wish Naysay could see that picture. It's a really beautiful picture of the moon coming up over the horizon.
Turquoise, top of the sky, and then you got the lightness. Oh, it's beautiful, man. Yep.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, daytime or lunar time, the mysterious influences of the sun and moon on biology. It says, throughout the course of the history of our planet, life forms and their behavior have been governed by the influences of the sun and the moon. The majority of us rise with the sun each day, well, unless you're me, and sleep during the nighttime hours. During which our position on Earth is enveloped in darkness while being furthest from our nearest star. Often, such daily routines are taken for granted since humans and other organisms have adapted to them such that they have become a fundamental part of our existence. And this goes back to what I was saying about how, we're completely in tune with the biosphere in which we live, and everything that governs that kind of governs what we do in a way. It says, because of this, often the mysteries involving the influence of the sun and moon on our bodies and behavior can be overlooked. However, one unique instance where these effects becomes apparent involves how the visually impaired are affected by the limitations of blindness. Blindness places on our ability to perceive light and regulate our body's natural cycle. So Naysay can speak to this personally. So going on here, and we'll get Naysay's take on this because I had no idea that this was going to go into this realm. It's very synchronistic. It says in a 2007 study that examined the circadian rhythm disorders that accompany visual impairment, a number of different kinds of human behavior and their relationship to 24-hour circadian rhythms were examined in terms of the effect they have on health and wellness. This includes sleep cycles as well as hormone profiles that are influenced by our ability to perceive the difference between night and day. These rhythms are spontaneously generated by an internal pacemaker in the hypothalamus, the study's author explains, noting that daily exposure to light received by the eyes is a main driving factor behind the regulation of circadian rhythms. Sighted individuals take this daily synchronization process for granted, the authors of the study stated, although they experience some of the consequences of circadian desynchrony when jet lagged or working night shifts. And I have adapted to my desynchrony, or whatever you want, desynchronicity.
That's a really weird word. You want to say desynchronicity, don't you? But it's
You want to say
desynchrony.
but it's like desynchrony or something like that. Yeah, it's weird. However, what kinds of effects on circadian rhythm do the blind or visually impaired experience, especially in cases where they are unable to receive the normal triggers that light provides, which most of us rely on to help govern our daily rhythms? It says most blind people with no perception of light, the researchers noted, experience continual circadian, I'm just going to say desynchronicity because it just makes more sense to me.
Out of whack. Out of whack. It's just out of whack, man. It's all wrong. It's all off.
Yeah. Through a failure of light information to reach the hypothalamic circadian clock, which can lead to a range of problems that include poor sleep and also problems with alertness and function during the daytime. This is largely on account of the fact that when our eyes are exposed to daylight, it performs the function of regulating melatonin production in the body. The authors of the study suggest the implementation of melatonin at certain times of the day in order to provide a similar sort of cue for visually impaired individuals, which they noted provides a replacement synchronizing daily time cue, although adding that optimal treatment dose and timing remain to be determined. However, there may be at least a few instances where visually impaired individuals might have adjusted to other means of regulating their circadian rhythms. And I would probably say that Naysay is one of those individuals. It says in 1977, a study was published in Science, which examined the case of a blind man who suffered from the effects of what the author termed as severe cyclic sleep-wake disorder. The patient, who appeared to possess no psychological issues and otherwise led a normal life in terms of his work and recreational habits, with respect to his visual impairment, of course, nonetheless suffered from a range of issues that appeared to stem from problems related to circadian rhythm disruption. Investigation showed that he had circadian rhythms of body temperature, alertness, performance, cortisol secretion, and urinary electrolyte excretion, which were desynchronized from the 24-hour societal schedule. The study's authors noted in the paper's abstract, however, that the man's desynchronized daily functions hadn't been the only element that interested the researchers. These rhythms all had periods which were longer than 24 hours and indistinguishable from the period of the lunar day, the authors added. In other words, it appeared that the man's bodily functions were running on lunar time. So he synchronized himself with the moon, basically. A number of organisms appeared to possess the ability to sense these subtleties of the moon's influence on our planet. In his classic book, Supernature, Lyle Watson observed a number of instances where animals appeared to align their daily rhythms with the lunar cycle. One example had been shellfish that, despite having been moved to a saltwater tank at a great distance from the ocean shore where they had normally resided, were easily able to maintain their daily activities in accordance with high and low tides, having seemingly oriented themselves with the same lunar cycles that govern the tides. Is it possible that the moon exerts similar influences on other organisms and even humans in some cases? Or could it even be the case that the powerful influence of the sun and the moon are so much part of our everyday lives that most of us aren't aware of the way they affect our daily functions? Say, for instance, like the man cited earlier, whose body seemingly adjusted to lunar time in the absence of being able to perceive daylight. So it's very interesting, Naysay, I'm just going to go right to you because you're the one that probably has the most experience with this. Do you experience, since you've lost your sight and everything, how are your daily cycles and stuff? Do you feel like you're in a certain rhythm, a pattern, or did your pattern change any? I'm sure there had to be a lot of adjustment, as you lost your sight and everything. So I don't know, just But just let me know what's going on.
I remember when I first lost my sight, there were times when I would swear it was the day and it was night, or vice versa. However, since I keep such track of these events of the sunrise and the moonrise, when I was younger, my parents used to just get so frustrated with me because in the summer, when the sun hit the horizon, I was up, and I'm the same way. Even like, here where I domicile, the sun is around 5:30 in the morning coming up, and I'm waking up at that. So I'm trying to force myself back to sleep for another hour or two if I could. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But I was interested enough just listening to Dick Gregory today, and he was talking about when the sun goes down, that if you fall asleep within 30 minutes after the sun sets, that your body does almost like a resynchronization. And this only occurs for about 3 hours after sunset. And he brought up the fact about, when you work the third shift, what do they usually call the third shift? The graveyard shift. And so the graveyard shift, that we're working ourselves into a grave, because if you look at it logically, we are not designed to be up at night. If we were designed to be up at night, we would be able to see in the dark, and we can't. But thank goodness they have light, because I easily I can stay up all night. It's not a challenge with me, especially when I have friends over and we're doing music and that. I'm usually the last person to crash out on it, But then there is also times when I will get sleepy at moonset.
Interesting.
And so I found it really cool about that whole synchronizing, and to me it just seems somewhat natural, because we have the sun, besides the earth that we reside on. What are the next greatest influences that we have? The moon and the sun. And so I would make the assumption that each individual is their own. So there's, you have to, if you generalize it, most people have the same enjoyment of, waking up with the sun and not wanting to, especially if they don't go to sleep on time, but I really enjoy it, because it puts a little bit into perspective of my patterns, because if I tilt back in my chair, it is like a recipe to sleep, because my eyes are already closed. And then I tilt back and I get a little bit relaxed, so for the most part, I can't listen to audiobooks and tilt back all the way. I can only tilt back at a 45-degree angle, or I know that if I tilt back further than that, I'm out.
Yeah, and I would think that, when you lose your sight and all of that, they talk about your other senses becoming heightened, right? Because it's having to compensate for the loss of sight. And then I wonder if then you become more sensitive to, say, these lunar cycles and these solar cycles and everything like that, because now your body's really trying to tune in to all other aspects, all other senses. So yeah, I mean, I would assume that probably you would fall into some kind of a alternate pattern of some kind that your body could pick up on. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I had no idea that article was going to go that direction, but I think it was very, very, very cool. You know.
Well, I can't confirm or deny that I may or may not be an anomaly.
No.
No, you don't say.
Although, Scott, we do love anomalies around here. So yes, yes, you're an anomaly. We're all anomalies.
I'm an anomaly too. You know, my whole pattern is completely different than the average. You know, I'm up in the night, try to sleep during the day, and to me, it just seems completely odd to do it the other way around. I don't feel good or anything when I'm up during the day and try to sleep during the night. It just doesn't work for me. It's almost like this is my natural pattern, you know, or just maybe I've gotten so accustomed to it that that's just how it is now. But I don't know, ever since I graduated from high school and I didn't have to really be up in the day for anything, you know, that's just the natural way I've done things. And so I don't know. I
do notice that when I do tend to stay up later, you know, and because of the military thing, if I set an alarm, I'm up. I'll be complaining about it, but I'll get up. But then I'll notice that the following evening, I'll tend to stay up just as late as I did the previous night. You know, so sometimes I gotta, make sure there's no cat naps during the day, so I can try to get back to sleep at a decent time.
Yeah, and that's what I had to do today. That's why I took a nap today. That way I could kind of like try to get myself back in order and, wake up later, be up during the night. Yeah, it's just like, but yeah, very interesting stuff. Very interesting. Pretty cool. Should we go back to Scandinavia, Kev?
Always, Scotty. Always. I like it. I'll get that up just now. There we go, man.
All right. Back to the wonderful, wonderful world, the land of Scandinavia.
I'll get the story for you. There you go.
All right, we're going to talk about the strange mystery of the Scandinavian ghost rockets of 1946. That's just a crazy headline, man.
This is good, woo. This is good. Yep.
Is it? Were you glancing through it? All right.
Having a Norwegian contact, I've heard of these things before.
Oh, okay. Kev's Norwegian contact is let us know that.
Sid is a legend, man. Sid is awesome. He really is.
Yeah, Sid's a great guy. All right. It says there have been plenty of strange flaps of mysterious lights and luminous phenomena in the skies of our world. Such spates of sightings. Woo! Say that 5 times fast. Often come in a wave, only to just fade away, leaving no explanations and plenty of awe and debate. One such case happened in Northern Europe in the region of Scandinavia back in 1946. During this 1-year period, there would be thousands of sightings of something very odd going on up in the sky, which have never really been explained and have come to be known as the ghost rockets. Beginning in 1946, mysterious objects in the sky began to appear frequently over a variety of Scandinavian countries.
Interesting time period, Scott. Interesting time period, eh?
Very, very, very interesting indeed. In particular, Sweden and Finland. These objects were typically described as tubular or cigar or spindle-shaped objects, sometimes with visible wings and sometimes without, that typically streaked fast across the sky, but also displayed all manner of erratic behavior. These objects were reported as speeding up or slowing down, doing aerial maneuvers, and even flying in formation, typically leaving no exhaust trail and almost always described as being completely silent. Although a few reports described a hissing or rumbling sound, they were seen at all hours of the day and night and were so bright they can even be seen in broad daylight. The first real recorded sighting of what would go on to be called ghost rockets was made in Finland on February 26th, 1946. But soon the entire region would experience a surge of sightings of these things in the sky, with around 2,000 sighting reports made between May and December of that year alone, often with radar signatures to back them up. Interesting. At times, there were even reported crashes of ghost rockets, usually with the rockets coming down into large bodies of water, such as lakes or the sea. There were quite a few such crashes that allegedly happened, and on more than one occasion, Swedish authorities moved in to investigate, even sending divers in to look for evidence of any mysterious object on the bottom. One of the most well-known of these investigations was carried out at Sweden's Lake Kalmjarv. I guess that's Kalmjarv, where on July 19th, 1946, a gray rocket-shaped object with wings reportedly came down after an ear-splitting boom. Wow, like a sonic boom? Possibly? To go skidding over the surface and sink. The Swedish Air Force quickly moved in and spent around 3 weeks scouring the bottom of the lake, but they would officially find nothing but a large patch of lake bottom that had been disturbed and looked like something very big had impacted there. No fragments or reason why this crater was there could be found, and one Swedish Air Force officer would state, "There are many indications that the Kalmjarv object disintegrated itself. The object was probably manufactured in a lightweight material, possibly a kind of magnesium alloy that would disintegrate easily and not give indications on our instruments." Several more military investigations were carried out at other similar crash sites, but on every occasion it was claimed that nothing was found. In the meantime, sightings of the ghost rockets were pouring in from all over Scandinavia, and although Sweden tried to keep a lid on it all, there were simply too many reports to keep it all secret. With headlines around the world covering the strange phenomenon, when pressed for answers as to what was going on, Sweden projected a skeptical stance that anything truly unexplainable was happening, largely writing it off as a mixture of atmospheric phenomena, meteors, aircraft, and overactive imaginations.
Of course.
However,
of
they did.
course.
Of course.
You know?
I'm surprised the Swedes didn't throw in swamp gas, man.
So it's missing, right?
Yeah, that's all it's missing. Yeah. However, they did concede that not all of the reports of ghost rockets were so easy to dismiss. And in October of 1946, the Swedish Defense Staff would tell a press conference, "Most observations are vague and must be treated very, very skeptically." In some cases, however, clear, unambiguous observations have been made that cannot be explained as natural phenomena, Swedish aircraft, or imagination on the part of the observer. Echo, radar, and other equipment registered readings but gave no clue as to the nature of the objects. Most in the scientific community wrote it off as meteors, as several alleged fragments from the ghost rockets had been examined, turned out to be either pieces of meteorites or just plain old coke or slag, in other words, rocks. However, not everyone was so sure all of the phenomena could be attributed to meteorites, due to the fact that the objects often were seen doing acrobatics, flying horizontally, flying in formation, or accelerating and decelerating, none of which are things meteorites are known to do, and they also did not typically leave trails behind them. The phenomenon also attracted the interest of the United States, and 2 U.S. experts on aerial warfare, a General Jimmy Doolittle and General David Sarnov, went to Sweden in August of 1946, ostensibly on other unrelated business, but who also asked around the Swedish military about the ghost rockets. In fact, they were given briefings on the phenomenon and able to interview many senior officers with the Swedish Air Force. The 2 generals went away convinced that the ghost rockets were a real thing and not a myth. When they brought their findings back to the United States, the Americans came to the conclusion that these were actual missiles being seen, likely top secret B-1 or V-2 missiles being fired by the Germans from a rocket facility at the German seaside town of, Peenemünde? Lieutenant General Hoyt Vandenberg, who was the director of the Central Intelligence Group, would write a top secret memo to President Truman explaining this theory, saying the weight of evidence pointed to Peenemünde as
Who knows, dude? Who knows? Bundy.
Peenemünde. It sounds like something the Swedes would say. Peenemünde.
Yeah. You had a blonde wig on, dude. I don't know, man. I reckon you'd pass for the Nordic with that going on.
Yeah.
Yerkin, yerky.
Yeah. I think of the chef, from All right. So that pointed to that location as the origin of the missiles. That a USMA in Moscow had been told by a key Swedish air officer that radar course plotting. Oh man, that radar course plotting has led us into the next break.
I can't believe it, folks. We'll be right back. Wow. Dang, dude. Okay.
Zip, bang.
Nettie say, come on, man, slow time down, dude. Do something. Like, I don't know what we need to do, but slow it down, dude. We need, come on. We've hardly started.
I'm not interested to start fasting again.
No, I don't encourage you to do that either. You know that, bro. You know I worry about you when you do that. He was telling me last night, folks, that he had been having nightmares when he was on his fast, and I was saying, well, Nancy, it's either nightmares or that's the sensation of your brain starting to eat itself through starvation. It's one of the two.
If I may correct you, they weren't nightmares, but they were some of the most bizarre dreams I recall.
Can you share any with us here right now that A, wouldn't get us banned, and B, wouldn't get you put in jail?
Well, the one that I remember quite vividly, I was at my grandparents' lake house, and I was in the front kind of porch area, and there's like a commotion going on. And in my dreams, 90% of the time I'm walking and I can see. And so everybody's gathering down by the lake shore. And so I rush out there to see what's going on. And across the lake, all of a sudden there's all of these, oh my God, they were orbs. All of these orbs were hovering up in the sky, and they were like so bright that they were illuminating the lake on the far side. So you could see how dark the lake was near us, and as you got further and further away, you could like see the lake. And they were kind of just slowly, some of them were just kind of doing this. You know how like when you spin a top and it kind of does this slight wobble? They were kind of like doing that. And then some of them were kind of moving, to and fro more so. And then I remember I was like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? And I remember giving my phone to somebody next to me, asking them to take a picture of it. And then I was trying to explain to them how to take the picture of it. By the time he figured it out, all of a sudden, all of them just take off. But that was the one that I prominently remember. And then I think I shared with you the other one where because of my chair, I tilt back. At one point, I find myself, I'm driving a car where the backrest isn't working. And the backrest is leaned way far back. So it's causing me to not be able to see over the dash. And as I finally kind of can barely see over the dash, the road turns into like a track. And then I follow the track, and then the track brings me into like a
yellow
train.
Brick road. Oh, dang. I thought he was going to end up in the yellow brick road.
and it brings me into like this train where all of a sudden the car is no longer there, and I find myself in a very low ceiling compartment with a bunch of other people, and we're all sitting on our tuchus with our knees bunched in, and we're all crowded. And I can remember the train motion going on and stuff, and people are talking, and a lot of people were foreigners. There was one person that spoke like broken English to me, and I was trying to ask, where are we going? What's going on?
Did he sound like this, Nacy?
Jittering and jittering.
No. I had to get him in somewhere. You knew I did, man.
Right. But yeah, so then the train stops, and then the room like elongates,
Well,
and then
hold
some
that
people
thought,
get
Nacy.
off.
Hold that thought. We're gonna go back, and you can tell us that one again. Here we go. I think I've waited long enough. We're over a minute. Here we go. Yep, welcome back. Final segment of today's Freaky Friday. And don't forget, our good friend Brent Thomas will be coming up right after today's show with his very own paranormal portal. And I took a glimpse there through our looking glass device that I've got under the table here, wired up to the flux capacitor. And I can tell you, Don Longbeard is having a problem starting the paranormal portal, or something wrong with the choke or something. But they've assured me they'll get it fired up before the end of this segment, and they'll be ready. They'll be ready, folks, to usher you through their Stargate or the paranormal portal. Ah,
We all know that Kev keeps a chronovisor underneath his table.
nah. I sent that back, dude. It was out of whack.
Is it?
Man. Yeah.
Is obsolescent technology now? Is the chronovisor no longer the thing? It's not the hot stuff anymore.
Jordy gave me the old D-Wave. I've got it out. Yeah, I just go and access multiple dimensions in the morning, take my pick, and, it's all right. It's all gravy. Talking to multiple dimensions and things going weird and flux capacitors, which has nothing to do with what Nacy's about to talk about in a minute. Nacy, your weird dreams when you're fasting, man, and then we'll get back to the ghost rockets.
Well, one that I was sharing during the break is I was in a vehicle, like a car, and it was like the backrest of the car was broken, and it was leaning back so far that I could barely grab the wheel and not able to see over the dashboard. And when I finally was able to see over the dashboard, the road turns into a track, and I have to follow this track, which just goes through its weirdness on that, and then it goes into a train. And then all of a sudden the vehicle is gone, and I find myself in this very low ceiling room with a bunch of other people. We're sitting on our tuchus with our knees pulled in, and nobody could speak English. There was an individual that was 2 people down, and they were speaking broken English with me, and we're like crammed in there. And I remember feeling like the rocking motion of the train. And so we're going along with that. Then all of a sudden, I'm asking the person, where are we going? Do you know where we're heading? And he just kept smiling and like saying, it's okay. And then all of a sudden the train stops, and then the room elongates, and then like half of the people get off, and then it like shortens again. And so then we just keep going. And the dreams were absolutely bizarre.
Do you dream vividly, Scotty?
Yeah, I do actually, because I don't sleep real deep. Like, I don't fall into that deep sleep to where I just go into that mode where I guess you could say I'm just below the lucid dream state, and I just have like wild dreams, so it's because I'm a very light sleeper. It doesn't take much to wake me up, like just a slight thump or a noise or anything like that. I'm immediately awake, and then I can't go back to sleep once I wake up, So, but no, I have reoccurring dreams.
That's weird, isn't it? When you get one that like replays and replays. You've got to wonder, like, what's causing that? What's that? What's your subconscious trying to tell you, or what was the trigger for that? It's weird, right?
And it's weird because last night when I was trying to sleep in the night, which is not, it was weird. It was almost like my brain was pulling up old dreams that I had, like dreams that I had kind of forgot about, I guess you could say, or didn't really think about. But then all of a sudden, it was like my brain was like recalling old dreams. It was weird. It was kind of weird, but no, yeah, I have weird, just a lot of weird stuff going on.
Got a lot of talk of chronovisors and flux capacitors. I love people. The Wookiees out there, the true woo crew, the people that listen to this show. I love it when they're on the same kind of conversation as us, and you're seeing people talking about what the chronovisor is. That fills my heart with deep woo joy. It really does.
Yes.
It makes me feel a little bitty.
Jittering and jittering.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely, Bakshi.
May I share one of my reoccurring dreams that I have?
Indeed.
So don't get us banned.
As long as it's like algorithm friendly and like tame.
Well, I only share my dreams about Kev Baker with few
come on,
people.
man. We can't talk to them about our dangerous liaisons that we have in the sleep realm. Come on, man. People will start talking.
Well, I'm in a hotel room, and I know that I'm about to be visited by men in black. And so I go take a shower, get dressed. I'm sitting on the bed, and sure enough, the door opens and two huge men in black come in, and all of a sudden one of them talks into his wrist, and they give the all clear, and then the president comes walking in. And every time I have the dream, it's the current president who is president at the time. And this started, it started when it was Slick Willie. And so he comes in and he's like
sexual
what's
relations? He didn't want sexual relations with you, surely not.
Come on, man.
Yeah, you definitely get nervous when Slick Willie comes into a hotel room with you, smoking a cigar. But
Allegedly.
Hey, Naysay, I did not have sexual relations with Naysay.
But excuse me. So he says, "What's coming on, or what's going on? When are they coming?" And I tell him they're already here. And he's like, "What do they want?" I said, "They want you to know that your time of controlling is over." And then all of a sudden, this little sphere comes hovering in, and it's like floating around the room. And I get the impression that it was like a surveillance, like it was recording what was going on. And then all of a sudden it got close enough where I reach out and grab it and I smash it down, and I'm like, "Let's quit effing around. You know, I know that they're here and they've been here all the time." And then all of a sudden one of the men in black guys says, "Sir, we have to leave. They're landing." And so then all of a sudden they go to take him out, and then one of the guys like, "What about him?" And then he was like, "Well, he's no concern anymore." So then they leave. I go outside, and then there's people laying on the ground. And then I'm walking around, and all of a sudden I see these entities, and I don't know what they are. I can't see any details of them, but for the life of me.
Do you see dead people?
So these entities, I know they're not of this world. and I see a person, maybe 10 yards away from me. All of a sudden, the thing just materializes right in front of this person, and it reaches out like an appendage and puts it right on his forehead above his third eye, and then the person drops. And then all of a sudden, one of these entities show up right in front of me, and they place an appendage on my forehead, and all of a sudden I'm getting a life review of my life. And then for some reason, I start speaking Anishinaabe to it. And then all of a sudden it was like it got startled, and then I hear in my head, this one knows the old language, and it was like an echo, like there was hundreds of people at the same time saying the same thing, and then all of a sudden it let go of my forehead, and then it just disappeared. And then I just kept
like a
walking.
sucking alien. That's a cool looking alien.
Right.
That's you're like, this one, he knows the old language,
The old ones are coming back, and they say the ancient ones. Cthulhu's leading them.
Well, whatever it was enough to give me a pass that I was in one of the individual that seemingly passed out, because as I kept on walking, there's these, and I never stopped to check if the people are alive or dead. I remember I'm just trying to get back where I'm supposed to go to, but as I'm going there, there's bodies all over the place laying on the ground.
Wow.
Interesting.
And that's my reoccurring. Oh, and there's spaceships in the sky.
Attack of the face suckers, man. You can't beat a face hugging or a face sucking alien. They're terrifying, though, aren't they? Like there's some aliens are like, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. Are you serious?
How dare you?
Who knew?
It sounds like the soundboard just woke up to join us too.
I am narrowing down. I'm honing in my soundboard skills. It's getting a bit crazy, but Scotty boy, we have rudely interrupted your ghost rockets. So before I forget, before Nace forgets, let's get back to the rockets, man.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So where we left off is that it looked like some U.S. generals had traveled to Sweden. They were a little interested in what was going on with this phenomenon, and
was this 1946? I wonder if it was led by a certain rocket scientist, and he started working over in America around about that time,
a certain individual whose name started with a V.
Yeah, it rhymes with Brown. Von Braun, Von Brun. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can almost channel them on the soundboard. Almost.
And the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you have it on the soundboard. Nice. Excellent.
Scott, can I say,
So the CIG, which I guess would that be what Central Intelligence Group, the precursor?
Yeah, I think they mentioned that earlier on in the article, didn't they?
Yeah. So they speculated that the missiles are extended range developments of V1 being aimed for the Gulf of Bothnia for test purposes, and do not overfly Swedish territory specifically for intimidation, self-destruction by small demolition charge, or burning. Now, wasn't the war over by then, Kev?
Yeah.
46?
Yeah,
so
45,
why would they be
right?
firing rockets? Why would they be firing V1s and V2s if... Okay, so it says the problem with this is that not only had there been no reported launches of any sort of missile or rocket from Pinnamindy. I'm going to start saying it like that now. Pinnamindy.
I like that, dude. I bet you that's actually pretty close.
Yeah, I bet that. Pinnamindy at the time, but missiles don't speed up and slow down or do the extreme aerial acrobatics seen with the ghost rockets any more than meteorites do. Despite the widespread belief that these ghost rockets must have been meteorites, rockets, or both, the U.S. government seemed to remain open to the idea that they could have been something more outlandish and mysterious. In a top secret document by USAFE, the United States Air Force Europe, from 1948 that was declassified in 1997. Ooh, I always love some good old declassified documents. The Swedish ghost rockets are mentioned, as is a supposed crash of one of them that left a crater at the bottom of the lake. And the document says they, the UFOs, have been reported by so many sources and from such a variety of places that we are convinced that they cannot be disregarded and must be explained on some basis which is perhaps slightly beyond the scope of our present intelligence thinking. When officers of this directorate recently visited the Swedish Air Force Intelligence Service, this question was put to the Swedes. Their answer was that some reliable and fully technically qualified people have reached the conclusion that these phenomena are obviously the result of a high technical skill which cannot be credited to any presently known culture on Earth.
Dude, it's hardly a resounding kind of like accreditation you're giving your experts. Some reliable and fully technically qualified people. Just some reliable, you know. We're not telling them we're working with the bad guys and things like that, you know?
Yeah. They are therefore assuming that these objects originate from some previously unknown or unidentified technology, possibly outside the Earth. We are inclined not to discredit entirely this somewhat spectacular theory. Meantime, keeping an open mind on the subject. So even the U.S., was like, I don't know, maybe. It says the lights would disappear just as suddenly as they started. Reports would dry up, and we would be left to wonder just what was going on here. To this day, there has been no clear explanation for what caused the ghost rockets flap of 1946, despite much discussion and debate. Were these meteorites, rockets, or some weird atmospheric phenomenon, or all of the above? Or was it perhaps something altogether stranger and more otherworldly? Why did it all congregate in this region in 1946? And what is it that the governments involved might not be telling us? No one really knows, and the Scandinavian ghost rockets remain a curious, unsolved mystery.
Until now. It was Das Swampgas, Scotty.
Das Swampgas!
It leaked from Das Glocke. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. This has been good word today, guys. Who knew Scandinavia? Land of the Aurora Borealis, fine-looking humans. Yeah, see, I'm inclusive. I just said humans. I didn't narrow it down. Vikings and ghost rockets.
Yeah.
I bet the Swedish shift had something to do with it.
Whoa, hang on. I think the old ones have come and captured Nacy. Nacy, you sound like you're phasing in and out of our reality right now. Doesn't he, Scott?
Okay. I told you it was the AI Nacy here today.
Nacy, are you there, Nacy?
Too much joviality, too much woo. England not beating Scotland. What a bloody day this has been, man. It is going to be a cracking day. Now, if I could just get a sleep. Be the icing on the cake, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I've just had an invite come in for Clubhouse. My night goes on.
It can't be a perfect day, Kev. It can't be a perfect day. Just like yesterday when you said there's never the perfect show. There's never the perfect day. There's always going to be like that one thing that's going to be like,
We should have beaten England. And in fact, on the balance of chances, we should have. There you go. Now, that's not just me making that up because I'm like tartan glasses on. No. And that would have been the freakiest day ever. I'm telling you, I could have just quit radio, checked out, left the planet, quite happy, man. Okay, maybe not that far. But I tell you what, this has been, I was thinking when you were reading that before we start to wrap this up, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on this. There's a heck of a lot of talk about the UFO disclosure going on right now, and I've done a bit of talking about it myself. That report there, the stuff from the Hasdallen Valley, you see, this is why I kind of like roll my eyes when you see some of the people saying, oh, this is the first time that we've really come close to finding out anything. There's so much information that's been out there, that's been hidden away, been declassified, re-hidden. I don't know. I think there's a plethora of evidence out there to suggest. And we even went back to paintings of Christ today to show there was probably more evidence in those paintings than we're going to get from the Pentagon, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why are they focusing on the Navy Tic Tac videos and all of that stuff when all they have to do is go back and look at the plethora of evidence and footage and everything that has been documented ever since, people have been, reporting this phenomena. Why don't they actually crack open Blue Book and actually do a real investigation on a lot of those incidents instead of, because we all know that Blue Book was just there to provide a logical explanation for these events. It wasn't there it wasn't there to actually figure out what happened. It was there to just go, well, here's, like you said, swamp gas or something like that. And, make it look like that this phenomenon wasn't really occurring.
For people out there, I don't know if you checked out this channel, guys, but channel here on YouTube, Alien Scientist, really, really interesting, and what really is blowing me away is we've been kind of skeptical. Like you hinted there, Scott, the kind of tic-tac videos, the videos we've seen coming out. Okay, pretty cool. But this guy and the people he works with, and bear in mind, he's a physicist. He actually works on anti-gravitic technology. They're trying to get like stuff like that going. But it's amazing because on both coasts, where these craft have been really conveniently sighted by the US Navy, there are so many private military industrial complex type companies that are working on advanced electronic warfare, advanced drone technology. There's one place that spoofs radar signatures, and they've been doing that since the Cold War. And I find that quite interesting because one of the latest videos to come out is all the different radar tracks going off. And listen, I don't know, it's just a bit convenient for me. That's all I'm saying.
Have you ever seen what the image looks like when you aim a laser at a infrared or, thermal camera?
No, I have not.
Especially if the laser beam is concentrated enough, it appears as a bright dot, that appears to be moving around, in space or whatever. And so, are we talking about some sort of like a technology that interferes with the thermal cameras of an aircraft, like projecting a false bogey or something like that? Because that would be extremely useful to, if you're going against an adversary or whatever, and they're trying to lock onto targets and you mess up their infrared or whatever by beaming a laser beam or something at it and screwing up its targeting systems. So I mean, you're right. I mean, there are so many military industrial complex, private groups out there that are doing their own thing that the military don't know about, right? I mean, we're talking about private. They're doing research, R&D.
Compartmentalized, dude. We didn't know what one hangar was doing next to our hangar in 36. They were a different section, a different unit. We didn't need to know. They were doing their thing. We were doing ours, and it's like it's hard to get people's head around that. It's so compartmentalized.
It's the whole point of compartmentalization. That's how they're able to keep stuff secret.
I would say if anyone does know, it would be the world capital of Switzerland. And if they're that close to these occurrences, they definitely were on top of it.
We are out of time, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to give a big shout out to somebody that's just turned up over on the YouTube stream, Bingus. A big shout out to Bingus. Yes, indeed. Nice. If you are looking for the PPP, go and visit Bingus. Bingus, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out to you, sir. I was on your stream earlier on today, just when you were finishing. I'll certainly be catching one from the start next time. And I've had a blast, guys. This has been awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yep. Yeah. I had no idea we were going to go down the Scandinavian rabbit hole, but it provided good woo. And
what can you say, man? What can you say? I think the only thing left to say to take us out today would be. There you go. We're out of here.
There we go.
Nacy, you knew that was going to be you knew I was going to play that, Nacy, didn't you? 'Cause it's like my favorite clip ever. But
at some point, I thought it'd be much sooner, but I'm glad you did bring it in.
I know. We were having such fun earlier on, but yeah, Bingus in the chat room. I'd love for everyone here to go and sub up to Bingus, and I know for a fact that most of you out there will enjoy the content that Bingus brings us. That almost rhymes. Bingus brings us. Oh, I like that. See?
Kind of rolls off the tongue there.
I'll dig up his channel real quickly to show people before we go. Give me 2 seconds here.
It's a must for us to bring us to Bingus.
Yes.
Now then, hang on now. Why is that not coming up? Wait till I change the filter channel. There it is. Somebody's got an animal called Bingus, and it's totally flooded the entire stream when you search that term. But here you go, ladies and gents. I will send a link over. There you go. Please go and check that out. Really, really nice guy. Some really, really good content on here as well. Yeah, I like it. Like it very, very much. Listen, folks, I've had a blast today. You had fun, guys. So you had fun.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Always have fun on Freaky, man.
Always, dude. Always. So listen, folks. You keep it real out there. Try and stay sane in an insane world. And if you can't, come and join us over in Disco. I'm not saying we're going to make the world any more sane for you, but at least you'll be comfortable in the knowledge that there's equally mad people out there, like me, Scotty, and Scotty was even gaming over there last night. I mean, top notch, man.
I was about to say, Kev got to witness me get some quick scopes and play of the game.
I enjoy watching somebody that's a competent player. I am not a competent player, but I do like to watch somebody who can play. Your boy Scotty Lopez, oh boy, he can play. So listen, folks, we are going to get out here. Have a great weekend. Look at that. Look at that. That's like, an Australian Scotsman. It's like a dream come true, isn't it? Isn't it? I tell you. One last word from our sponsors today. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. There we go, and now I have to find the music. I've lost the music, boys. Oh, come on. It's a nightmare. There we go, there we go. We ready to get our wah-wah pedals on?
Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. Introducing Dave on the wah-wah. Come on, Dave. Bring the wah-wah.
Wow, wow, wow. Wah, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Wow, 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 wow.
Back us up, Scotty.